Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jewelers reimagines family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Working one-on-one, Duke's designers honor the original story while creating something fresh and modern. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com, where old stories become new treasures.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Friday morning. Your Utah Jazz are back in action tonight. Real Salt Lake opens the season tomorrow. Big college basketball games for BYU, Utah, and Utah State tomorrow. So much going on. David Locke's going to join us coming up at 8 o'clock, and we will talk about the Jazz with him. I firmly believe the Jazz could go 3-1 in their next 4 games. And if you're like, that would be a disaster for the Jazz playoff odds, I would say you're correct. That would be a disaster for the Jazz playoff odds. I don't think they'll do it. I just think they're capable of it. They got Memphis tonight, and Memphis is shorthanded. Then they got to go to Houston. That's probably a loss. But then the Jazz return home and play the Pelicans twice, and they could win either or both of those games. So what are the Jazz going to do? Well, they're going to find a way to tank. That's what they're going to do. Keyonte George is still out with an ankle injury, so you're not going to see him. And apparently we're not going to be seeing Nurkic either. Now, that Markkanen, that we could see Markkanen. Now we're sitting here. It's early. There's lots of time for stuff to change. So, you can just keep typing in Jazz injury report to your computer, every hour on the hour, or you could just listen to the Zone and find out what the heck is going on as we get closer to the game and that injury report gets updated and finalized. Time will tell, I suppose, how this is all going to break down. I think that the real key here for the Jazz is probably not manipulating the playing time quite so dramatically. I think we'll probably see less of that after the fine. I think they're just going to find out a reason to sit a guy down. Jaren Jackson is out. John Morant is out. We know a lot of these things are going on. Nurkic is out. Are you ready for this one? Due to nose injury management. I guess it's sore and he doesn't want to get hit in the nose. And, I just read all these injuries and just think, if it were a playoff game, you'd be playing. But, hey, whatever. All right, so that's why Nurkic is out. Now, in this whole talk about tanking, everyone's got an opinion now. And it turns out, so does Suns owner Matt Ishbia. And you can hit us up on Facebook and Twitter and post your opinion on this. Matt Ishbia says tanking is losing behavior done by losers. What would you say to him? I would say nothing because Matt Ishbia isn't worth my time. What do I care? Man, Matt Ishbia, what does he know? What does it matter? Just Jazz, go out and lose 20 out of the next 26 games. Get your pick. Be good next year. 2 $50 million players. Go chase 50 wins. Let's go. What anybody thinks in pro sports is in college sports. There aren't committees picking who gets in the postseason and who doesn't, who's ranked and who isn't. None of that matters. In pro sports, you either win or you lose. And there you go. And if you win, you go to the playoffs. If you win enough. So who cares what anybody thinks? Now, I know it's Sports Talk Radio, so we got to have an opinion. All right, how about this? If I'm going to care, I'm probably going to listen to someone who's got a lot of experience and a lot of success. Matt Ishbia came in, thought he knew everything, had a good thing going in Phoenix, screwed it up, made a gazillion changes. I mean, you know what, down the inside of his pants, and just made a complete mess. Had a team that went to the NBA Finals and turned them into a lottery team. Awesome. Good work. Now, this year they bounced back and they seem to be getting some stuff right. So all of a sudden he's going to get up on the soapbox and the losing behavior done by losers. And puff out your chest and feel good about it. Whatever. It's actually behavior done by lots of teams who've won, including the defending champions, Oklahoma City. They tanked. San Antonio tanked. They're up and coming. Other teams have rebuilt through the draft because they tanked. Now, some teams have tried to do it and only gotten it kind of sort of half right. Looking at you, Philadelphia 76ers. Some teams are in the lottery forever and can't ever get it right. Charlotte, Sacramento, Washington. So this one-size-fits-all, it's losing behavior done by losers. It kind of depends, doesn't it? I mean, honestly, if you look at the results, it depends. There's all kinds of results out of it. Matt Ishbia, who cares? Whatever. I mean, you know what? If he entertained his fans, good for him. Owners and players and executives are going behind the door and locking the door and not interacting with the fans. So even interaction that I find ridiculous is better than nothing at all. So at least he got out there and gave his fans something to talk about, even if they, and me too for that matter, even if they disagree with it, which I do. And just completely. But this, it's crazy the way pro sports teams behave, most of them. Not so much the NFL. They make their people go out and interact even in the offseason. They generate tons of free media, and they're the most popular league, and they're making more money than anybody else. The difference is the NBA doesn't have to share the money with as many players. So even though they're making less, everybody's taking home more. So if they don't want to talk, whatever. Okay, fine. But it's hilarious. And it's been going on for a decade or more. So I guess Matt Ishbia went out there. Good for him. But I just don't care. Now, the ESPN is also reporting that the NBA is convening, coming up with multiple anti-tanking proposals. They are ready to change the rules this summer. I don't think it matters. I don't think there's anything you can do. The odds are based on 2-year records. Then teams will tank for 2 years. You can't pick the top pick a year after making the conference finals. Okay, so those teams can't come down, but those aren't usually the teams doing it anyway. I don't think it's going to change that much. You can't get a top 4 pick in consecutive years. Ooh, this has been one of the NBA's favorites. Somehow Houston did it and got Samson Olajuwon, and somehow Orlando did it and got Shaq and Penny Hardaway, and somehow Cleveland and Dallas were rewarded after something terrible happened and somebody left and got somebody. So the back-to-back thing. Okay. But see, all that does is tell now the other teams, hey, maybe we should tank because they're out and if we hop in, there'll only be 4 of us who can pull it off. I just think they're moving the bag back at first base here. You can't get a top 4 pick in consecutive years, and you can't have consecutive bottom 3 finishes. They're going to freeze the lottery odds at the trade deadline. Okay, so teams will be tanking like crazy leading up to the trade deadline because the reward to get a good young player who is inexpensive, you can have for 10 or 15 years, who even when he isn't capable of winning at all can hype up the fans, and I give you Donovan Mitchell or Stockton and Malone or whoever else, because Jazz never won a title, but there are lots of players who've come through here and excited the fan base, and they won a lot of games even though they haven't won the last one and been able to pick up the trophy and go have a parade and hang a banner. So the reward is so great for getting a good young player. It's phenomenal. It's so powerful in this sport. I just don't see how they can change it. I fundamentally just don't believe anything's going to work. And I suppose I should keep trying. PK's got this theory. Hey, what does it hurt to try? Okay, try something new, try something different, see if it works. It's not going to. But give it a shot. Why not? And, and the fun thing is to watch the NBA experiment, and maybe they stumble into something I just can't foresee, and it'll be great, and I will just completely turn on a dime in a year or two. And by the way, I will. I've said it before. If you get new information, you get to have a new opinion. If I get some new info, I'll have a new opinion. I've been watching them work on this for 40 years. They haven't been able to make any headway on it. And tanking just keeps happening. If anything, it gets worse because in the law of unintended consequences, when they came up with a much stricter collective bargaining agreement and the second cap, well, suddenly it's harder to improve your team by making a trade, and it's harder to improve your team by signing a free agent. And what's left? you better get good players in the draft. So that's just intensified the tanking. But the Rockets were tanking 40 years ago, and it's never changed. It has never changed. They changed the system, and there's still teams tanking because the reward with that young talent is so awesome. It's so valuable. It's not as valuable in baseball. You've got bigger rosters, you got more people on the field, and the pitcher has so much power. And yet the starting pitcher only gets to pitch once every 5 days and may have an arm injury and shut it down for a year. So there's just no guarantee in the same way. In football, we do have teams tanking, and they do want to get a quarterback, and because of the salary cap, they do want to get an inexpensive tackle or pass rusher or whatever their particular need is. So we do see tanking in football. I mean, do I think the Raiders tanked? Yeah. Do I think the Browns tanked? Yes, I do. I mean, you just keep going down the list. So it happens when the reward is really big, and I just don't know what they're going to do about it. But they'll give it a shot. All right, so Jazz tonight. Jazz in Memphis. David Locke coming up at 8. Real Salt Lake opens the season tomorrow in Vancouver. I like the fact they go to Vancouver and play on turf. It's hard to play on turf. It's different. But this time of year, RSL trains on turf. So that seems to make it a little better. And they have gotten some earlier season results up in Vancouver that have been good. I think it's going to be difficult this year, and we'll talk with Pablo about it, because they just had a rash of injuries. They just had a brutal practice session, multiple guys going down. We'll get into that with Pablo, but this is going to be a severely shorthanded RSL team. And I think that whole next man up thing doesn't work, because I think that in some cases the next man up is also hurt. I mean, they've really been dinged up here. They're going to be missing a lot of guys. There are going to be some names out there people will recognize, some guys making their MLS debuts. I had a chance to talk to Pablo yesterday, and at that point, he wasn't sure what the starting line would be. He took a guess, which we're not supposed to put out there, so I won't. But even when he said, he's like, this gets updated tomorrow after training. There are some guys who I think are longer-term injuries, but I do think there's some guys who are shorter-term injuries, and I think there's some guys you have to evaluate. Is it worth putting it out there? Should we hold off a week or two and get them fully healthy? Those are the kind of decisions that have to be made. Plus, who knows if someone gets hurt in the training session coming up today. I mean, it's just, so they'll figure that out. We'll talk with Pablo about that coming up at 8:30 as they get ready to open their season. Plus, plenty of college basketball on the way. We'll get to all of that. Stay with us, DJ and PK. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, Olympic hockey. Drama for the women. And now can the men follow in their footsteps and get the gold? The men have a semifinal coming up today. And then the bronze and gold medal games are on Sunday. And win or lose, they'll be in one of those games. Gold if they win, obviously bronze if they lose. We'll talk with Cole Bagley about that coming up next. And then PK puts Scotty G on the hot seat coming up at about 6:40. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. A reminder to join Scotty G and friends today at Kenny J's Barbecue from noon to 3 for the 60 and 60 ranking show. Kenny J's Barbecue is located at 11610 South District Drive in South Jordan. 11610 District Drive in Jordan. That's coming up today, noon to 3. Get on down there and grab some lunch and hang out with Scotty G. We're going to hear from Scotty G coming up in the next segment. Talking Aggie basketball, they look prime for the NCAA tournament. How many games can they win in the tournament? Should they have been running it up? Is Jared Calhoun out of here after the NCAA tournament? Because he is going to be a hot commodity. We'll get to all of that coming up. But first, the Olympics. So the U.S. women's hockey team wins Olympic gold. They had been flying through the tournament, dominating everyone. They'd only given up one goal, getting into the gold medal game. And then they give up a second and trail. Yikes. They are down 1-0, and they have got to pull the goaltender late in the third period, last couple minutes. But as soon as they get the extra player, get the extra attacker, they score like 20 seconds later. And they get it to overtime, and they score again. Great goal. If you haven't seen the drone video on social media, it's really cool. And they win 2-1. Lots of drama. They beat Canada for the 8th straight time. They take the Olympic gold. Canada gets silver. And it was a wildly entertaining game. Now, what happens today? The men are playing Slovakia in the semifinals. Canada and Finland are in the other semifinal. And for a little look ahead to what's going to happen today, we had Cole Bagley on late in yesterday's show. So given that this is going to be one of the marquee events of the day, Cole, who covers the Utah Mammoth, breaks down the game for us and also takes a look at the Olympic experience, vastly different experiences for different players in this Olympics. And there's 4 different Mammoth players playing for 4 different countries representing the Mammoth in the game. So here is Cole Bagley with PK and I on the Zone. Cole, good morning.
Good morning, fellas. How are we doing?
Good. The men's hockey is down to the semifinals, and Cole's interview is brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Have you been surprised by anything you've seen in this tournament, or is this pretty much we're sitting right where you thought we'd be right now?
Yeah, I think for the most part, we're sitting right where everybody kind of imagined with the United States, Canada, and Finland in the Final Four. I think Slovakia is maybe the one surprise. You look at their roster, and there's not really any NHL stars on that team. It's a lot of, third and fourth line guys. It's, minimum contract guys. It's guys that are being scratched or on waivers. And so I think they've surprised some people, but, their path was a little bit easier. But now the United States will have an opportunity to play Slovakia. It's a team they need to take seriously. There's no night off in the Olympics. It can swallow you alive, just as we've seen it do to some teams. So I'd say that's the only surprise. But with those 3 teams, U.S., Finland, and Canada in the semifinals, I think things are shaping out the way that most people expected them to.
Okay, you say you got to take them seriously, but I'm still thinking that you think that they're going to win. So with that in mind, assuming, and when it's just for radio's sake here and the sake of discussion that they win, I know it's not an assumption, but we'll go on that line of thought. Who do you think they would play in the final, and then who do you dope that out in terms of what you think the odds would be?
Yeah, I mean, we're on a collision course for the United States and Canada in the gold medal game, and that's what everybody wants, right? The 2 best squads in the world with, arguably all-star lineups, from top to bottom. Every single line is a line that can make you pay. And so I would say that I'd be surprised if that's not what it is. I do think that Canada is going to have a little bit tougher time facing off against Finland. They've got a pretty good lineup as well. They've got a few stars on their team and, guys like Mikko Rantanen and what have you. So I'd say that Canada has drawn the tougher semifinal as opposed to the United States. But as I said before, it's the Olympics, right? You have one bad period, you have one bad shift, and suddenly you're trailing by a goal or 2, and all of a sudden, you're done. Your Olympics are over. I mean, for the 4 teams remaining, all of them will at least compete for a medal when all is said and done. But, it's gold or bust for the United States. It's gold or bust for Team Canada. So both these teams will definitely have, a lot of work to do and a good challenge if they want to meet in the final.
Semifinals Friday afternoon, 1 o'clock. A lot of people are going to be watching. And will they see Keller play? He's played a little bit in 2 games, but not a lot. And he sat completely in the first 2 games. What are your expectations for what kind of ice time he might see here in the last 2 games in the semi, and whether it's the gold or bronze game?
Yeah, yesterday was tough for Keller. He had a really good game when he finally entered the lineup against Germany. He played his game, a game that a lot of, Mammoth fans are very familiar with. He's a very good facilitator. He plays with speed. He's confident on the puck. He battles in the dirty areas. So that earned him a spot in yesterday's game against Sweden. But unfortunately, he only took 6 shifts. He played a team low 4 minutes and 44 seconds. And I don't think he saw any ice time after his initial shift in the second period. And so through most of the second and then all of the third, and then, of course, in the overtime, Keller didn't touch the ice. I'd assume that there was something the coaching staff wasn't necessarily pleased with and decided to bench him for the rest of the game. So, I'm not entirely sure. It is tough to say right now. It's obviously, that spot is up for grabs between him and Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor played the first 2 games for the United States. He did not play well, so they gave Keller a chance. He did play really well against Germany, but then yesterday, must have just done something that the coaches didn't like. So I'd say it's up in the air for right now. But if he does play, I would expect, short minutes, probably, less than 10, at most 12. That just kind of seems to be what they're doing with some of those guys like that. So, yeah, it's we'll see how things shape out. if they skate tomorrow before the game and we see some lines, and if not, it'll be, game time before we know if he's going in or not.
Well, we saw that he used some slights as motivations in the past. Do you think he does it again?
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure. I don't know if you guys saw, Sam Farnsworth interviewed Keller right after the game yesterday and, was asking him questions about Quinn Hughes' overtime winner and, just his reaction and, in his demeanor and the way he kind of carried himself, you could tell that he was disappointed, obviously thrilled with the result, but disappointed in himself. Just his tone and, kind of his body language. Keller's a really competitive guy. He's one of the most competitive athletes I've ever been around. And I'm sure that he's, just eating himself, with the way that he played. So, yeah, I think that if he gets an opportunity to play again, I would expect him to come out with juice, to come out with energy and to, put forth a really good effort.
What about the other three guys who represent the Mammoth and were representing their different countries? What do you think of the way they've performed? What's their Olympic experience been like?
Yeah, for Karel Vejmelka was interesting. He didn't touch Olympic ice. He actually only dressed for one of the games, and he was a backup, and they never called his number. So Vejmelka didn't play in the Olympics, which was pretty surprising, especially the way that the tournament went for Czechia. Obviously, they pushed Canada to the brink. Yesterday, forced overtime. Dostal, who was their starting goaltender, played really, really well. But, you have to imagine that if they would have given Vejmelka some minutes in the preliminary rounds, they may have had better seeding and not have been forced to go through Canada to try to get on to, further in the tournament. So that one's interesting. I'm not entirely sure why they benched him. He definitely, at a minimum, was the second best goaltender, if not, should have been the number one option based on how he's played over the last 6 to 8 weeks. So that was surprising. In terms of J.J. Peterka, I think he had a good tournament. I think he scored a goal, had a couple assists. It was, just a good opportunity. Germany wasn't as deep as some of these other teams, so he was playing in the top six and, playing along a guy like Leon Draisaitl, who's, an MVP candidate every season. Just good experience for him. He played a lot of minutes, averaged, I think, between 24 and 26. So a lot of positives for Peterka. Ole Mata, it's been a good opportunity to play, right? I mean, he's been a healthy scratch for the Mammoth for a few months now. And, so for him to be able to play hockey, to play it at a high level, he hasn't played a ton of minutes either. I think he's averaging about 9, 10, 11. But, his team has an opportunity to play for a medal. They'll face Canada, and I would assume that, we'll see a little bit of Ole Mata. So overall, I think a good tournament for the Mammoth. Good amount of playing time, but obviously it's not a bad thing for Mammoth fans that Vejmelka got to rest. He didn't risk injury. He should be fully ready to go when he comes back. And then for these other guys, a good amount of minutes and an opportunity to play hockey at a really high level while avoiding injury.
Do you know the Mammoth schedule then going forward? Not when the games. I'm talking about between now and when this season resumes.
Yeah, so they're skating. They've been skating. They skated the last 2 days. They've got practice here in about hour 45 minutes. It's kind of like a mini training camp right now. Guys are starting to make their way back. Anybody who was not at the Olympics had to report 2 days ago. And then as guys fall out of the Olympic tournament, they'll start to make their way back. So there's a chance that we may see J.J. Peterka today. And if not today, probably Saturday or Sunday. They're just trying to get back in the swing of things. Long practices. The last 2 days they practiced about 2 hours, and they're just trying to get guys, kind of back into skating shape, and then going through, some of their offensive schemes. They did a lot of power play yesterday. So, it's, like I said, kind of a mini training camp between now and when they resume next week.
The Kings are the team that suffered the major injury in the Olympic tournament, and they are battling the Mammoth in the wild card race. They're trailing. They're down 4 points. How badly are they hurt by that?
Yeah, it's a valuable defenseman, to lose to injury for the rest of the year. It's next man up mentality, on every roster. And, the Kings also got an upgrade via trade right before the Olympics in acquiring one of the best goal scorers in the league in Panarin. So I don't know that it'll really hurt them that much. Of course, you're not going to necessarily replace that guy talent for talent. But I would expect that, all the teams that are in the wild card race in the West, it is going to be a dogfight right down, I think, to the very last day of the regular season. I mean, there's 6-7 teams that are all within about 7 or 8 points. So, for Utah, it's just about getting back to consistency. And I talked with Ian Cole yesterday and asked him, Ian Cole is one of the best veterans on the team. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. He's been in the league for almost 2 decades. And he just said that right now it's all about helping everyone on the team understand what playoff intensity is and that they need to play with that kind of intensity, starting next week. And he said that, look, we even had that discussion before the Olympics, helping guys understand the mentality we need to have. So, regardless of, what's going on with their opponents, Utah just needs to stay focused and, play their game.
All right, there is Cole Bagley. We are going to take a break. And when we come back, we will talk with Scotty G, and PK will put him on the hot seat and take a shot at Kevin Graham. That's all coming up. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined by the radio voice of the Utah State Aggies and our former producer and all-around fabulous guy,
producer.
Scotty G.
Jeez.
Scotty.
That was a while ago.
Scotty's not
20 years.
half the man that he was.
That's true, too. Scotty, so we've known each other like 20 years from when you produced the show,
Yeah.
right?
Actually,
Or
about
more.
a third.
Oh,
Yeah.
2. So
No, I was
when did you
05.
05 when you jumped over?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
you're
no,
right,
when
you're
I
right.
came to the station was like 03, 04, around
Okay.
there.
All right.
My first
So
football season was the 04 season.
We've known you more than 20 years.
Yes.
Have you ever been
Long time.
this pumped up about an Aggie basketball team? And if so, was it the Sam Merrill team?
Yes.
That's the only one, though?
Yeah, the Sam Merrill, Nemish Keita team. But even that team wasn't great in the regular season. They were dealing with the injuries, and they kind of limped into the tournament and ended up, winning that game, and then COVID shut it down. But I haven't seen a regular season quite like this. This team is humming along nicely.
23-3.
Yeah.
And really only that UNLV debacle at home where you're like, woulda, coulda, shoulda, like that one back.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Grand Canyon on the road. But Grand Canyon's a good team. I mean, they just went into Viejas. Yeah.
Yes,
you're not taking ownership of Grand Canyon.
100% he is.
Oh, get out of
He
here.
got a degree.
He got a TG certificate there. He is totally taking that. Oh, yeah. I mean, seriously.
I've walked the halls of Grand Canyon.
When they moved to when they now moved, it's about time we got to the Mountain West and got some real competition. Oh, he's tried his stuff on
I would
Grand
prop
Canyon
up Dominguez Hills more than Grand Canyon.
I didn't go to Dominguez Hills.
But your wife did, which Scotty didn't know when he trashed Cal State Dominguez Hills. Driving by some freeway exit.
She's never forgiven him.
Yeah,
I don't blame
This
her.
dude doesn't even have a master's. What the crap would he know?
And I mean, if you dig down deep enough, the Bachelor is still a little iffy.
Oh, yours?
No, I think we're good.
It doesn't
All right,
matter.
well, here's my thought. That they're going to win the regular season. We'll see what happens in the conference tournament. I don't think they need to win it to get there.
No.
They may win it, they may not win it, and they'll be competitive. Maybe they'll lose a close game or something. Who knows? Then they'll go to the NCAA tournament, and they have an excellent chance to win their first game, and then they'll lose their second game, and then we'll see what Jared Calhoun wants to do. So with all that in mind, you spent the better part of Tuesday, because we're off Monday, telling me that dunk at the end of the Memphis game really mattered.
See, all morning long, I was like, okay, what weird angle is PK going to take me?
We know how the story's going to end.
I knew.
But yet you told me that dunk, oh my gosh,
I knew it.
that changed the axis of the earth and how it rotates.
I love this
Talk
so much.
talk about a power dribble.
I mean,
so
come
much.
on. That dunk, you spent 3 hours justifying that dunk.
Yeah. Well, about an hour and a half.
They're going to win the conference.
Not the half.
They're going to go and maybe win the conference tournament. Again, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect their seed that much. They're very good chance to win the first round game.
Yes.
Lose in the second round.
Yeah.
And then we got to hold our breath with Calhoun because he's going to get a multitude of offers.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be like Sprinkle where he's literally negotiating with Washington in Vegas while the tournament's going on. I'm not saying Calhoun will do that. Life is different now. And with all that in mind, somehow that dunk against Memphis changed everything.
So let me peel the onion back here a little bit because I want to know what you really think.
I just told you what I really think.
You'll never know.
Was it classless?
The light is on. The light is on. You'll never know.
I wouldn't have done it.
Can I-
It's an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
I understand.
All three of them, or just the third one?
The last one.
The last
Okay.
one. Okay.
Literally the last one.
There were three. If you didn't see it, they're like
There
3
were
and
three.
45
No,
seconds.
I'm talking about the last one.
Okay, yeah.
Just
The last ones were
literally
10
the
seconds.
last one.
All right.
Hardaway played in the NBA.
Yes.
And injuries derailed his career. He was very good.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
obviously he got injuries, cut him at the knees, basically. And you don't do that. So he's coming at it from an NBA perspective. And so he sees that, and he played North Texas on Thursday, has to fly all the way to friggin' Logan, Utah to get his butt kicked. They're not very good this year. And, yeah, I understand exactly where he's coming from. You didn't need to have that dunk, and I don't care what curling boy Ken Palm says, that dunk didn't change anything and will not change anything. They'll lose in the second round, and then we'll see what happens with Calhoun, whether he comes back or not, and away we go. That dunk was meaningless, but you two spent the whole time telling me that it's going to change everything. You needed that. Oh, the way the game is, and the analytics today, and blah blah. Oh, give me a bleep and break. Come on.
You good?
I'm even better.
I bet you are. Curling boy? We're taking personal shots at Ken Pomeroy. By the way, I've not seen Ken that excited as when I asked him about curling. That dude lit up like a Christmas tree.
Right.
He was extremely excited about that. Okay, by the way.
We'll nail him next week or two.
I will.
On that.
So Spencer Nelson, sitting next to me doing color, could not talk. He was so angry about that.
He did not like the third dunk at all. Actually, he was down.
He didn't like the second, and he definitely didn't like the third.
Yeah.
And because they could have ran out the clock on the second, and then there's the third dunk, and he went quiet. Now he doesn't talk a lot anyway, but he's like, I can't talk about this. I'm so mad because he's of the Stu Morrill, tree where you don't do that stuff. You don't rub people's noses in it,
or at least lay it in.
Here's the thing, Jared Calhoun.
That right there, important distinction.
Yeah, the windmill.
Which asking a kid with all the adrenaline in the arena is going nuts. I get why he threw it down. I get it, but honestly, it would have felt different if he'd laid it in.
But I'm looking over at Calhoun, and Calhoun's giving the signal like, let's go. Let's go. And so, I mean, he looks at his coach. His coach gives him the green light, so he's like, I'm going to put on a show here.
Oh, I don't blame the kid.
Oh, no, I don't blame him at all. And frankly, I don't, Calhoun, that's just his DNA. I think that he's using the analytics, but I think deep down the dude is just he wants to cut throats. I have not seen a coach that cold-blooded in a long time. Now, the analytics, I agree. Is 2 points going to matter? Is 4 points going to matter? Not really.
Yeah,
who cares if somebody won a game by 18 or by 24?
Okay, Crow.
I don't know.
But
Tuesday, that's what they told me.
No, I know.
It mattered.
I know what Ken. But come on,
you and I told me.
But you and I don't.
Curling boy told me it'll make a difference.
But you and I don't look at scores and think, oh, they only won by 18, not by 24. They're not really that good. There's a difference between winning by 1 and winning by 10, for sure.
Yeah.
But once you start
Gary.
winning by 20,
you want to win by 9, not by 2. I understand.
I don't know if I'd take the risk to lose the 2.
Yeah, there's a little bit of difference there.
Yeah, if you could run the ball down the field,
which they were doing,
with Luke Staley, 18 yards at a time, I'm all about it.
Yeah, but Matt Berry, let's. Was that Beck?
That was Beck.
Oh, it was Beck.
It was a freshman quarterback in his own end of the field.
Yeah, I remember at Stanford, right?
Set a historically programmed low with only 25 passing yards.
There's definitely something to be said to have the offense put the game away so the defense can't blow it because they make it a 2-score game.
So you're saying that Calhoun wants to be aggressive, and I'm supposed to believe, and then
Ken Pomeroy green lights it.
Yeah.
Well, and then he. This is where I really get cynical. This is where my East Coast comes in. That it's going to look good for the selection committee. I call BS. It's going to look good on the Big 12 and Big 10 job openings.
Look at you. I beat Memphis by 24 instead of 20.
Along with this, and
he
this.
is okay. So
if he goes to the Sweet 16, my gosh, he's going to have. Take your pick.
I don't want to channel.
That's a heck of a coach.
I don't want to channel Phoenix PK. I want to channel New Jersey PK, because that's who he is. Like he is. I want to go Temple of Doom, rip out your heart, and show it to you. He's that kind of mentality.
But I don't want to hear that it's because of the analytics this season. It's to make himself look good for future jobs. Get out of town.
I think it's to embarrass a coach and embarrass a program.
And to make himself look good.
To make his team look good. And his byproduct of it, is going to be some opportunities down the line,
He should. Yeah. I support it 100%.
Hey.
I think he's a great coach. I told you the other day when you had me on, of all the guys that have come through since Stu, he's the best.
From an X's and O standpoint, it's not even close, honestly.
Well, what other standpoint where is someone else better?
Well,
because I think aside from X's and O's, his attention to detail. Like, I fully believe he already knew Ken Palm's answer. He wasn't guessing. He knew because he had conversations. Anyone who's so detail-oriented that he comes into town and wants to meet with a politician and a church leader, like, tell me what it's like here. Tell me what the standards are. Tell me what I need to know so I and my team can be successful.
He met with the Archbishop?
He met with a bishop, but not the Archbishop.
The Archbishop of Cache County. Okay. That's in Godfather 4. We'll explain that in the next Godfather. So,
does that even exist?
Godfather 4?
Yeah.
No, they shut it down after 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Goodfellas.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which was better than 3.
But the guy is super detail-oriented.
So. Yeah, super detail-oriented.
And the fundraising he talked to us about and all that. But you're right. He was if he was born in Ohio and grew up and played, I think, in Ohio in college and all that. But he must have a grandparent from Jersey.
And he's of the perspective of he plays a little bit of mind games with his players, and he treats them like I think
Templin for sure, right?
From a motivation standpoint, he pulls all the right strings, and the players sometimes team up and absolutely can't stand the guy, but they unify behind a hatred of him. And so, honestly, I think he's about as good.
Rick Majero's 101.
But I think it's been really, like, there's been Craig Smith is Craig, and I love Craig. Craig is like the most personable guy on the planet. Danny Sprinkle's one of the toughest SOBs. Ryan Odom was just a savant when it comes to basketball. But you throw everything in together, and you have Jared Calhoun. And, I think wherever he's at next year, he's going to be making a lot of money and doing very good things. That guy's going to win a final. That guy's going to go to a Final Four somewhere with a team here in the near future.
Wow.
So this weekend, no big deal. Take them into Reno. Wow. Nevada's only lost 2 home games.
You like how San Jose took them behind the woodshed?
87-71.
Yeah.
Jared Calhoun is going to coach
a team into the Final Four.
Of course, he's the same one who told us that Mikhail Hillstead will be a starter by the end of his first year at BYU.
I made one. I didn't know about Bear Bachmeier. It should have been him. It should have been McKay Hillstead. I didn't know Bear Bachmeier was the second coming of Joe Montana. Nobody saw that coming.
Only if you listen to the morning show from June on.
Oh, stop it.
There might have been somebody who told you that Bachmeier was going to be the starter.
Inside the program, they knew what they wanted. Yeah. They had to make him do it.
Yeah.
But they thought he would do it. They expected he would do it. And they wanted him to do it.
Okay, they wanted him to do it.
Did they
really expect him to do it?
I don't know if they expected the season to that level, but
the whole way he was going to start.
Yeah.
Bull.
That's not bull. That is not bull.
That is BS.
Back me up, DJ.
He told me that a long time ago.
KSL.com. I only wrote 5 friggin' stories on it.
I'm not buying that.
Josh Furlong when he got him in on Friday.
No.
I told him, I'm sending you another story that says Bachmeier is going to be the starter. And he laughed. You get him on Friday when you do your 60 and 60? Ask Josh. He'll remember the conversation.
You pull me up a link. Because I bet there was like you know what? If the stars align, it wouldn't surprise me if Bear Bachmeier was the starter.
Because I can't give up my sources. You don't do that.
Well, you didn't say he's the starter.
They wanted him to be the starter.
I agree with that.
They thought he would be the starter. They expected him to be the starter, but they made it a competition because they had to put him under some kind of pressure to see how he would perform under pressure. You can't turn on the lights and put 65,000 people in the stadium and a quality opponent on the other sideline until you get to the season. There's no exhibition games in football. But they wanted it. They thought it. They expected it.
Okay.
But there was a chance there. If he went out and threw 2 picks the first day and 2 picks the second day and 2 picks the third day and McKay was lit up, then they would have gone the other direction. But they never thought that would happen.
So you're saying there's a chance. That's what it boiled down to.
That's what it is. Because they had to put him under pressure. They can't.
Got me under pressure.
Sing it. All right. So are the Aggies going to win the regular season then, or share it? Yes. You've already got a W in Reno mentally because Nevada just lost to San Diego State and then they got blown out by San Jose.
If they beat Nevada, they'll win it. Yeah, because even if they lose to San Diego State,
they're going to win it.
Somebody else.
They may win the conference tournament. They got a good chance to win the first round. They'll lose in the second round, then we'll hold out.
That dunk was the difference between the Elite Eight and being bounced in the round of 32.
Well, if you listen to
I don't even remotely believe
you would have thought so.
You don't even remotely believe that.
Who's going to be?
Well, I didn't believe it on Tuesday either, but homeboys painted me in that corner there.
I listened.
You don't listen to Squad.
Then how did I know about Curling Boy?
Because I tweeted that out. I'm surprised you're like, well, I was in the gym and I was listening to Phoenix radio and these guys said this and this and this.
I was. Well, you don't want to know what I was doing when I was listening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Attaboy. Good for you. Who says romance is dead?
This wasn't romance.
That was not what he was saying. I know exactly what he's saying.
I know.
You don't want to know. Yeah.
Who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Aggies?
Sheesh.
McKay's dead.
See, that's what you want me to say. I know what you want me to do. And I'm not. They expect McKay Hillstead to be the starter.
Who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Aggies? I'm giving you an opportunity to redeem yourself.
Wow. I'll go McKay right now. And then, come August, you said emphatically McKay Hillstead is going to be the starter. And you're effing wrong.
Okay. Do you think it's McKay 60-40, 80-20, or you're 100% sure it'll be McKay?
I'll go 60-40. I think that's a fair number. There's a freshman out of Texas they really like, and that I think they assume eventually will be the starter, if not by the end of the year. But week one starter.
Where does McKay sit with all of us completely confused by transfer rules now? And him not playing. Where does McKay sit in eligibility?
Geez, your guess is I have no idea.
He's one.
The coach need to decide that.
He's one lawsuit away from another year.
Yeah, he didn't get to the lawsuit. He's a redshirt freshman right now. I don't know.
Well, he's not a senior. So it won't be a one and done like it was with Pig Farmer.
Yeah,
Barnes.
Well, Barnes was there for 2 years.
Yeah, but
1 year as the starter. Yeah.
I meant as a starter.
Yeah.
And then that's good.
I would love, by the way, for that guy to sue and get another year. That season he put on was with one of the worst offensive lines in the history of college football.
Is his body healed yet?
I don't think so. I don't think he wants to come. The beating that guy took was just unbelievable.
I know it was, and that's why Broncos salivated. The guy just kept getting up from the 8 count every freaking game, 5 times a game.
Yeah.
And he was dynamic. It was good to see him have the success that he had because he's a real tough dude. And I think it's important for them, obviously, to shore up the offensive line and get a quarterback in there and then be big-time competitive in the first season in the Pac-12.
Yeah, agreed. And I don't see that the schedule makers didn't do him much of a favor with the home with Boise State.
What's that about?
I don't know.
They didn't have enough games scheduled because they're in a smaller league. There's 8 teams, so you have 7 league games, and they can't find games on this short of notice. So they're just like, well, we'll play each other. Because everybody else's schedule is
everybody waits for UNLV to
pretty full.
Come on over. Then you got a balanced schedule. Then off you go.
But they don't want to?
I think they do now.
But they didn't a year ago.
No, because they were promised a lot of money, and that money's not coming through right now.
Oh, for TV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and they were going to give all these buyouts that they were going to take from the teams leaving. Now the Pac-12 teams are suing, saying we're not going to give you that money, and now that money's all tied up, and UNLV's like, hey, where's our cash? So,
yeah. Well, it makes sense that they should go.
And you never want to keep money away from somebody in Vegas that you owe them, or you might lose a kneecap.
Exactly. And he's speaking from experience.
Yeah.
I've been in Vegas with him for a week at a time.
Scotty one kneecap Gerard.
Yeah.
I mean, his transition.
Saul from the Tropicana doesn't mess around.
His transition from the Vegas to Utah, it was seamless.
Oh, I was looking at Jake Hatch because Jake was talking about being at the Orleans with his daughter and the cheerleading thing. I'm like, is Seamless still there?
All right, Scotty, on that note, we'll let you go. Get mentally
you.
prepared for that show at noon today.
Hey, you know who's coming on today? Who's our co-host today?
Who's your curling fan today?
Well, I would love to have him break down curling. The one, the only, Kevin Graham. KG for 3 hours today.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Well, you never know with him. He may have a different offer by the get to hour 3.
And he's listening right now, too. An hour and a half into the show, he's like, I'm out. Hey, Boston called.
Or Pittsburgh. Or Columbus.
What market hasn't
Or
he
Dallas. Or San Francisco.
Hey,
how am I doing?
Hey, can we be nice
Phoenix,
to the guy? I need to get 3 hours of
New
him today.
York.
Yeah, New York.
You worked in New York?
Yeah.
Phoenix. I left out Phoenix. You're right.
San Francisco.
2. Sing it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a community that is eagerly and anxiously waiting the second coming. For Graham, it'd be the fifth coming.
I'm out.
All right, there is Scotty G, and he did have Kevin Graham on yesterday, that interview from late in yesterday's show, and that was hilarious. Listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to take a break. Oh, a reminder, Scotty G and friends today, they're at Kenny J's Barbecue, noon to 3, the 60 and 60 ranking show, Kenny J's Barbecue, located on District Drive in South Jordan, 11610 South District Drive in South Jordan. All right, DJ and PK coming up next. What is trending? All the headlines. We'll get to college basketball. Big Saturday night for college hoops. That's next. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
You ready for basketball again, PK? Because it's back. Last night was a quiet night on the local sports scene.
As I told Kevin Young earlier this summer when he said his wife was pregnant, and I said, I'm glad you're finally deciding to keep the commandments and be fruitful and multiply. He said, I've always been keeping the commandments, boy.
He said that too. He's over there trash talking.
He may not have added the boy, but
it was in the tone.
It was implied.
It was implied. Yeah.
Basketball's never left me, man. The Jazz have, but now the Jazz are back. And I'm going to put on and wear a Jazz uniform.
Back in action, but not back in Utah. They're back in Tennessee. It's the Memphis Grizzlies. The first game is the Jazz come out of the break red hot and win 3 out of 4 and improve their playoff position. Memphis tonight, winnable game. A couple New Orleans home games coming up, winnable games. Now, it is a limited lineup tonight, PK. You're not going to see Keyonte George. I know you like to watch Keyonte George, but not tonight. And Nurkic, hey.
He's got a bad nose.
Got to rest your nose sometimes.
Right.
Listen, when you got a nasal situation, you got to take care of it. No, dude can't be running up and down a court breathing through his mouth, please. And what if one of those chicken wings comes out and pops him in the nose again?
See, I think every game is winnable. I don't think you can argue it's more winnable, but I think they've got enough talent to win any game.
Including Houston.
Oh, Houston's no
Well, that's when I said they were going to go 3-1 in the next 4, I was not counting on a win at Houston.
I don't know why not.
But I get your point. They're good enough, and they got 3-point shooters, and you're red hot, and stuff happens.
Well, I think it's up to Will Hardy to see who's playing well, and then sit him in the third quarter. See if that causes an uproar.
Play him 3 or 4 minutes instead of 12.
No, just sit him. No, sit him.
Sit him totally in the third quarter. Yeah. You're totally.
Just make a mockery of it. It's already a joke.
See if you can get yourself blown out in the third quarter.
Just play. Well, the 2 games that they sat Markkanen and Jackson, they didn't get blown out in either game.
True story.
I don't think Memphis is capable of blowing anybody out in their current configuration.
Yeah, they've got no John Morant. Obviously, they traded Jackson, so this team is not what they were.
And Desmond Bane is long gone.
Long gone.
Yeah, he was right there in the Jazz grips.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
And they thought Azubuike was better.
Oh.
That'll cost you.
Where's he playing now?
I think the local ward in Kansas.
Got some keys down there, lets himself in.
Church ball.
He's playing with Ironi Nesziono.
I don't give a crappy. No way. You did not need to look that up. You were the only one who carried.
I did care, yeah.
I know you did, but the rest of us didn't. Right now, raise your hand if you did not care.
Look at all those hands.
Beep your horn if you did not care.
Ha! That's a good one. All of a sudden, people are honking at each other.
Nobody cares. How did you live your life without the stupid internet?
Pregame at 5, tip-off at... Excuse me, start again. Tip-off at 5, pregame at 4, right here on The Zone.
Hashtag NBA.
Oh, man, the NBA plans to make anti-tanking rule changes next season. That comes from Commissioner Adam Silver in a meeting with all 30 GMs. They're trying out about 7 different concepts. And while some of them move the bag back a step or 2 at first base, other move it back 10 feet. I think one puts it over in the warning track by the dugout. One moves it into short left field. But are any of them going to work, PK?
In the warning track by the dugout?
Yeah. The warning track goes all the way around. So some guy's chasing a foul.
No. That's not
pop.
The warning track is only in
What do you call that then? So when some guy's chasing a foul, there's a dirt strip so the first baseman doesn't run into the railing.
It's called a dirt strip, so the first baseman doesn't run into the railing.
Lottery odds could freeze at the trade deadline or at a later date. Well, then they'll just dump games earlier.
Simple. Put all 30 teams into a hat.
Teams can't pick in the top 4 the year after making a conference finals. Has that been a problem? Has there been a lot of that going on? That'll stop 4 teams. That'll stop 4 teams from tanking. I don't see any of this working.
If you get top 5 pick 3 years in a row, that 4th year, you got to draft a white guy.
Flatten odds for all lottery teams. Well, hey, just take Cooper Flagg. Flatten odds for all lottery teams. Okay, so now they're going to have some team that's on the edge of the playoffs. Just figure, I'm going to jump games.
I respect you so much. You just don't see color, do you?
What?
Look at your background and where you grew up. Why the hell would you see color?
Actually, I did see color. Just not what you saw in New York. Boston Celtics star Jaylen Brown said he's considering legal action against the city of Beverly Hills. He told ESPN police shut down a private event he was hosting Saturday night during the NBA All-Star Weekend. He said he spent $300,000 on the event, and sponsors have spent $300,000 to $500,000 on the event. They got shut down.
I couldn't care less.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
All right, tomorrow night. UCF at Utah at 7. BYU hosts Iowa State at 8:30. In between that, USU's playing Nevada at 8. 3 games for you to follow. But PK, you're going to one.
I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Be there in person for number 6, Iowa State. And number 23, BYU in Provo. 8:30 on ESPN.
Well, and I'm going to Reno, too.
Johnny Cash song? What are you doing?
No, the Aggies.
You're not going to Reno, though.
Why not?
They're going to Reno.
Buzz right over there. Talk to Steve. I mean, both of us once called Jonathan Tavernari an expletive.
What do you have in common? One of the greatest shooters in the history of Indiana.
Or did you do yours in the post-game handshake line?
No, I didn't do that. Well, we got you on tape here. Oh.
No, my bad. That Aggie game will be on FS1, and then Scotty G will have it on The Zone. He'll be on 1280 The Zone at 7:30 with the Aggies. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
The Bears want a new stadium. They're not getting in Chicago, so leaving Illinois, going across the state line, they are talking about a dome stadium in northwest Indiana. Indiana legislators unanimously approved an amendment that would clear a path for the Bears to build a stadium in Hammond, Indiana, about 25 minutes south of Soldier Field.
That's so stupid. I mean, that's like calling Weber State Salt Lake State. They can't be the Chicago Bears then.
The Indiana Bears.
I don't like it. I tolerate the Jets and the Giants in my home state.
Oh, what's the difference?
I just think that there is a distinction between Chicago and
that little corner of Indiana that's right near Chicago, which is where they're going to park this thing if they get it built.
Right. No. It's not the metropolitan area in the way that New York is. And they teams train in Jersey. I've been to their training sites. But it's so interchanged. And the Bears,
so many people go back and
Bears.
forth.
See, New York represents an area. Chicago represents a city, man. It's a specific location. The Chicago Bears.
Now you've driven
George Halas.
You've driven around Dallas. Did the Cowboys move too far away when they moved to Arlington?
No.
That was okay. How many miles is that? 15?
Yeah, depending on where you're coming from. It's kind of in the middle there.
Between
and
Dallas
the Rangers
and Fort Worth.
play there, too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Chicago Bears are like, they're an institution. The Bears.
So are the New York Giants.
But the New York Giants are an institution in a region. And the Chicago Bears, they go together.
I'm a little surprised you're getting between somebody and their money. The Bears just found their money 25 miles away.
Oh, I'm not blaming the Bears.
Yeah.
No, that's not the point.
Just makes you sad.
Yeah, they're in Indiana. Indiana's basketball.
Indiana's money. It's all about the money. This has never been more about the money. How many billion can we have? Let's go.
I would imagine that Chicago would come to the table and say, hold it.
Yeah, I don't know whatever happened with the racetrack thing. I always thought that's what they were going to do.
That's actually...
and is this leverage to get money for that?
J.B. Pritzker, the governor, is now saying that they're going to fast-track something on that front, which they're requesting somewhere around $800 million in public funding, which Illinois apparently has balked at originally.
Yeah. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Stop me if you've heard this headline before. 2 Georgia Bulldog players were arrested this week on charges of speeding at maximum limits and reckless driving. School and coaches have insisted they will clean it up. It is a years-long trend. They've actually had someone killed in a car wreck with someone who was going at an excessive rate of speed, but it keeps happening. Stanford hired NFL veteran Chris Richard as the new defensive coordinator under Tavita Pritchard. Richard had served as defensive coordinator for Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks during his NFL run. You think Stanford's coming back? They're going to turn it loose here with NIL at some point? You know they could if they wanted to.
Well, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
I think the potential there is to hit it out of the park, because if you can combine NIL with the Stanford diploma, which we know will guarantee you a lot more money if you work at it, and that's been a fact, that they could have a real good situation there. And that's like I don't like them being in the ACC, obviously, but that's like the one school that could benefit, because I've had extensive conversations with David Shaw about this, how they have to recruit nationally and how they offer so fewer scholarships compared to what all of their contemporaries. Because I asked him, I said, well, how do you do it? I mean, what's your ability to offer scholarships versus anybody in the Pac-12? He says, I can tell you, I got the numbers.
That he does.
Yeah.
Everyone else is casting a wide net.
Oh, yeah, like 250, 300.
But what's the point? Because Stanford's not going to let in some kid with a 3.3 and a 1,200 on the SAT. And everybody else is like, yes, that's our kid.
They don't go even triple figures. They're down like 75, 50.
Yeah. And he told you about how they identified these ninth graders and they got them on this plan in 10th grade, depending on if you're going to 3 or 4 year high school where the grades start counting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they got a whole academic layout because it's not just that, but you have to have taken certain classes. And
right.
It really is legitimately grueling.
Yes. And so if they kicked in the NIL and then they have being able to play on that side of the country, because obviously they're playing on this side of the country for all their home games, I think they have an opportunity there, but we'll see how they figure that one out. You know, the Sun Devils announced they put up a drawing of the facility. Mm-hmm. And Zach Miller, remember, he was tight end for the Raiders and the Seahawks when they won the Super Bowl. He tweeted out, and it's a very nice, obviously, those drawings always look great. Yeah. And Zach said, he played for the Sun Devils. He said, man, if we would have had this when I played, I wouldn't have lost that 15 pounds that one day in practice in August. It's so blazing hot.
Just sweating it out. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Real Salt Lake opens the 2026 season tomorrow night in Vancouver against the Whitecaps. RSL is going to be shorthanded. There are going to be a lot of guys out with injuries. Pablo Mastroni was talking about it yesterday. He's not exactly sure. There's a few guys who might be back, but there are going to be some young guys out there. Pablo's going to join us at 8:30. We'll see if he has any clarity on how many guys will be missing, but the short answer is several, and possibly a lot. So all the off-season moves, all the anticipation, that's not exactly what they're going to be running out there in Vancouver tomorrow night.
Opening day for you guys. I'm excited.
It is. Opening day. First kick at 5:30, pregame at 4:30.
Good luck to you. I hope you have a great season.
Thank you, PK.
You try to deny it.
DJ, well, it's just, I'm not dealing with your sarcasm.
We got Scotty over here. Just
not dealing with your sarcasm.
Yeah, that dunk, that really mattered. Yeah, I mean, defend him at all costs, which all announcers do, but you try to act like you don't want him to win desperately, and we all know you're full of crap.
Rope-a-dope you to no end. DJ and PK.
It don't work.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Spring training
on the dope.
Spring training starting today. 5 games in Arizona and Florida. It all gets underway with your New York Yankees playing the Baltimore Orioles at 11 a.m. The first spring training game. Baseball is here.
If you want me to own either of the two, I would probably I would definitely lean Mets.
You're just more of a National League guy. It's the way it is.
I don't
Phillies,
know why.
Diamondbacks, Dodgers. Yes, there's a.
Yeah, but that was later.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But it is just how you roll.
Yeah, I don't really know why, but I'm definitely more of a National Leaguer. Yeah, 110 today, man. Diamondbacks and Rockies. I'm going to be watching.
There you go. From Scottsdale, Arizona, the Salt River Fields at Talking Stick.
Yeah, they actually share a facility.
Who are the teams there?
Those two.
Oh, those two are both in that facility. Okay. Got it.
What I just said.
Well, I didn't get it. You said they shared. I thought, well,
they share the facility.
I didn't get
So down the left field line is
I thought your Diamondbacks might have shared it with, I mean, I knew it wasn't the Padres because I know they're in Peoria,
well,
but there's so many teams. Yes, I knew that.
Yes, you go down the left field line and you got the Rocky stuff. No, it's the other way. Right field line, Rocky stuff. Left field, Diamondbacks. And it's obviously these new facilities.
They're all fabulous.
Yeah, with 7 diamonds, and then they got like 4 just infields, not the full, and then they got 15 batting areas. You can see it as you're walking in. It's awesome.
The Athletics getting ready to start their second of what is supposed to be 3 years in Sacramento before they move to Vegas. They know people doubt them, so they had an announcement that the foundation work on their new ballpark in Vegas is complete, and they still plan on being there for the 2028 season. $2 billion, 33,000
What are they going to do, stop it halfway through? I mean,
I don't know. I just feel like they know there's been all this doubt, and they're like, see, we're doing it.
Well, you can go look.
I was there last weekend. I drove by and looked at it, and there was a bunch of cranes.
All right.
It's right across the street from MGM.
Yeah, it's right there.
New York, kitty corner, and The Luxor, sort of on the south end. It's right off of Tropicana. I mean, it's there.
Well, yeah, I took down the Tropicana Hotel to put it in that spot.
Yeah, it's coming.
DJ and PK. Team USA does it. They win the gold. It wasn't easy. They've been blowing everybody out, including Canada 5-zip in the preliminary round, but they were down. Gave up a goal in the second period, had to pull the goaltender, got a late dramatic goal, and then won in overtime 2-1. They get the gold. Canada gets silver in women's hockey.
I knew that Keller would come through in hockey.
You just didn't know. You were thinking Clayton. Could still happen. Men's semifinal today against Slovakia. That's at 1 o'clock.
Keller scoring. Megan Keller from Detroit. Same high school as Jesse Spano.
Okay. Alyssa Liu broke a 24-year drought for U.S. women. She won the gold in women's figure skating. So the U.S. with a nice medal haul yesterday. And now today, it'll be up to the men's hockey team against Slovakia at 1 o'clock. That's what's trending. It's brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. David Locke's coming up at 8 o'clock. Pablo Mastroni at 8:30. The question of the day is next. Stay with us.
This past summer, we introduced the first ever Top 60 and 60 watch list. And now that the season is over, it's time to rank the best players in the state of Utah. It's the Top 60 and 60 ranking show, presented by Kenny J's Barbecue. Coming up this Friday, the Zone will rank the players that made the biggest impact on the state from the 2025 season. Live from Kenny J's Barbecue at the District in South Jordan, it's the Top 60 and 60 ranking show, presented by Kenny J's Barbecue, where you can get 10% off your catering order at KennyJ'sBBQ.com. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ and PK, we're brought to you by University of Utah Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. PK Suns owner Matt Ishbia says tanking is a, quote, losing behavior done by losers, closed quote.
Rotten Hades.
What would you say to him?
That's what I would just say to him.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you for coming down from the mount and giving us the 11th commandment.
He came down from Camelback Mountain?
That is exactly it. It was ringed in fog because there's always a lot of fog. Is that in Tempe or Scottsdale?
That's right in the heart of Phoenix. There.
In the heart of Phoenix, Camelback Mountain, ringed in fog.
It goes up, and then the face, the bottom of the mountain as it's coming down, looks like the face of a camel. That's why they call it Camelback Mountain.
Okay, the only positive thing I can say about this is that there are so many professional and college sports owners, athletic directors, general managers, coaches, players who go behind the curtain and don't say anything or interact with their fans. And when they do, it's total cliches. So at least he went out and he gave at least his fans, I don't know if anybody else cares what he thinks, but at least his fans and maybe some other people around the league, something to talk about. So
Adam Silver.
Adam Silver gave him something to talk about.
You go, Matt.
So there's that. That's positive. Then over here, it's like, Matt, you're not exactly Red Auerbach. Matt, by the way, losing behavior done by losers. Oklahoma City did it, and they're literally the champions. Well, I could go on all day about how.
I think the bigger story is that when they traded for Durant, they traded all their picks. I think they don't have their own.
And so he's covering here
2032.
Yeah, so he's covering.
They can't tank.
Well,
There's no reason to tank.
They got picks back because they were out from the Jazz. That's why the Jazz ended up with that 2031 pick they traded away.
Doesn't control his
picks. No, because they did. They moved them all. They were desperate.
And they didn't even make the playoffs with those moves.
So he's like, yeah. It didn't matter when I blow those draft picks.
As I understand
I get it.
he's backed away.
That's a little CYA thing right there. And
he was he got all this fame in the way that Mark Cuban did, and he went nuts with fame. It reminded me.
Except Cuban had the Mavs on the uptick, and Ishbia, they went into the curve.
Well, I mean, it's only his second year. You got to give me a little time here. I mean, right now.
Isn't it? I thought it was his third.
Well,
whatever.
I think it was in the middle.
It's still early.
Full season where he had control. And so they are on the upswing now. But these guys, and I was talking with somebody at the gym just the other day, you get these teams, I think it was when I was down in St. George, an 80-year-old ex-Marine, tough as can be, and we were talking about it. And I said, well, yeah, they buy these teams because they're billionaires, but they're anonymous billionaires. Then they buy these sports teams, then they get to be famous billionaires, and people are talking about them. And then they get to rub shoulders.
Yep.
And they can be out in the public. And,
yes.
And so Ishbia's going nuts here with all the sudden fame.
That theory, the first time I heard someone say that out loud, it made sense to me. It was Kevin O'Connor 25 years ago when Cuban was rising up and was answering emails. And he wanted to be out there so much.
Emails every time I emailed
I know.
him. He ran out on the court one time, and then he did it as a joke.
Yeah.
I think April Fools.
Kevin O'Connor said that, and I'm like, well, that would explain what Cuban's doing. I get that.
Yeah.
And then you could think other people, and you'd kind of see it, but Cuban was just the best example of it, and it was right in the moment. And in 25 years, multiple leagues, multiple owners, it just keeps holding true.
Right. Jerry Buzz.
Yeah.
Loved it.
There are a few owners. There are a few owners who hang back, but there's a lot who are out there.
Yeah, it reminds me when I first went to NAU, and that very first weekend, all these kids who didn't have the freedom that I had were going berserk. Yeah, they were.
And you were like, been there, done that. Right. Look at you people go.
Because my parents were older.
Yeah,
and by the time I came along, they were pretty much done. So I had free reign to do basically whatever I wanted. Drove my sisters nuts.
Wait, there were rules.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. And I had
at least your parents let the rules go over a decade. My parents let them go over 3.5 years. By the time I got to the third kid.
But they had no kids in that decade to enforce the rules. So maybe they would have kept them. But
I don't know. I just think that's more understandable
I was 9
as opposed
years old,
to
my two sisters were already out of high school.
Right.
So
and I had brothers 2 and 4 years behind me in school.
There were no rules to enforce. They weren't putting in a curfew on me when I was 8. And I was fast living in Jersey, but
not in the third grade.
And I had no curfew. I could do whatever I want. And I looked at some of these guys just getting rip-roaring drunk and throwing up all over the place. I thought, guys, this is the first weekend here.
You pace yourself.
And so I see Ishbia getting all this fame, and he's going overboard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy for him to say, and you're right, I do appreciate that he's willing to say something rather than cliches. I always encourage somebody, if you got something to say and you want to say it, say it. But I do think you haven't walked in the Jazz shoes. How else are they going to do it?
And you're right about the cover, a little CYA going on there with the fans. That I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
Yeah.
I totally buy it. That resonates once you say it. Tony said this worked for the Spurs and OKC and the Pistons and the Rockets most recently. Tony has no patience for this quote.
I mean, it was a week ago that question that you asked Locke last 2.5 minutes, and you started in like 1974.
Nope, I started in 84, 85, 86.
Oh, that makes it better.
Yeah, it does. It's 40 years, not 50. Because I could have really bored you.
And you went through the whole history. And I have to, Locke today, I've got to give him credit. Because I was thinking there might have been a San Bernardino there.
Nope.
But he stayed with it.
He did. He locked in, David Locke.
I had checked out not once. I feel like I'm
you checked out,
LeBron.
you checked back in, and
not
you checked
one,
out again?
Not two, not three.
Every 30 seconds you dip back in. No,
so the history of the league has proven this. Yeah. And now you want to institute all these rules after San Antonio has benefited multiple times and got 5 titles and could see where they can get maybe 1 or 2 over the next decade. Now we're going to, San Antonio, we got to come down on this. This is outrageous.
I know. Whatever. The cool thing is, while they experiment with all these rules, which I anticipate will not work, the Jazz should be in a window where they're a playoff team. It's like, yeah, go experiment on those guys over there.
Right, but they'll keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah.
There's no point. Let them experiment. I did think of what you always say. It's like, well, try something new. Maybe it'll work. I don't believe it will, but maybe they'll try one of these things and it will make it better. Yeah. Nothing's made it better for 40 years. They've tried a bunch of stuff, and some of the stuff that they suggested in this most recent round, they've already tried and hated back in the 80s.
The funny thing is that you want teams to try to win. And by tanking, you are trying to win.
You just got to go backwards to go forward sometimes. That's why cars have reverse.
That's a fact. You could just go, be in the middle of the league, get in the play-in, get in the playoff, go out, make your money, and be happy. But the Jazz are desperately trying to win. You can rip them all you want, and that's fine. Larry Miller said the worst thing is apathy, right? So go ahead and slam them. But they are trying to win. That's a fact. They're trying to win. There's no doubt about it. And this is the method that dictates that they go about trying to win is by losing to get the players. They could put these guys out there, and I think that if they made no moves, just say they got Jaren Jackson now, so they did make the move, but include him in the move. And just keep the guys and just try to win, and then wherever the draft picks fall, go ahead and do it. Because look at it. They, late picks, took Collier and Filipowski and Sensabaugh. There's something there in all three of them. So clearly they know what they're doing in terms of evaluation and drafts, right? Filipowski clearly should have gone 10 spots higher? I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
Probably 15 or 20. Yeah. I haven't looked at it either.
Right. So they could do that, and I think they would develop if they just kept their guys, and then, you make a few moves around the edges, as every team does. They could be a playoff team. But they're saying, no, that's not good enough. That's not what we want. We want to win at a higher level than that. And this is the way they're doing it. So you're criticizing them for trying to win. How else can they do it? Change my mind that it's different. I'll be open. Because in the end, it's sports, and I don't really give a crap if the Jazz win 20 games or 60 games. It really, at this point, in the beginning, when I was doing this radio, and I really, really wanted to do it, I wanted it worse than anything that I've ever wanted job-wise. And I really wanted them to win because I was so nervous about the ratings. Well, now...
I know. We've gone through COVID. There were literally no games, and we found out the ratings.
I'm good to go, and I don't really care, but I want them to do it. It's more fun. But so the point I'm making is I'm open. Convince me that they're not trying to win, that this is the wrong way to go about it. I'm open. I haven't heard an explanation that would say, yeah, do it this way rather than the way that they've been doing it.
I don't think anyone is going to be able to convince you because I don't think there's any convincing to be done.
There's give you too much of a track record.
Tony has posted on our social media for years.
What's Tony got?
He said it worked for the Spurs, Oklahoma City, Detroit, and Houston most recently. I mean, he could have gone on for 2.5 minutes like I did, but he just went with comma, most recently.
Well, he's probably a younger guy.
Yeah, it could be.
So, yeah. Well, so it's out there. What are you going to do to that was what I was saying to Ishbia. What do you want the Jazz to do?
Right. Jeff says, but I think it goes to your point that he was talking about him. That's mostly what we do. He traded away all the draft picks. That's losing behavior. So, people criticize me for that, but that's just losing behavior that losers do. He's just trying to dismiss that. Jeff, I, as a lifelong Jazz fan, got sick of year and years being in the middle. Here and there, we might make a deep playoff run, but never the ultimate prize. So I'm okay doing something different for a few years to see if it yields different results. Jeff, long-term buy-in, and he's got a little bit of patience for this.
Well, the statues And JSO did have a few long playoff runs.
They did.
That's a fact. I mean, you get the Western Conference Final or Eastern Conference. That's a long run.
They were in the conference finals 5 times in 7 years.
If you're playing in June,
that's a long time. Yeah. If you get to Memorial Day, even that's late May.
That's a
long,
fact.
Right.
So they have had it. It's been a while. We understand that. But what else are they supposed to do?
This is part of the, we got to have a harder salary cap. So you do that, and then it makes it harder with this whole second apron that isn't a hard cap, but it's kind of acting like one. So that just makes it harder to make free agent moves. That makes it harder to make trades. And you can literally track what everybody's doing across the league. So it forces people to go to the draft to get talent.
Well, where do free agents go? I mean, come on.
First off, there aren't that many. And second off, they go to L.A. and they go to Miami. And maybe they go to New York because Brunson did. So, but they're not.
His dad was there and he grew up in the area.
Right.
Mitchell wants to get back there because it's home. Kevin Durant went to Oakland.
Dallas thought they could get a bunch of free agents there. Nowitzki, they opened up the roster and they couldn't get anybody.
Yeah. Did they get LaMarcus Aldridge? But I mean, he's not.
San Antonio.
What's San Antonio?
San Antonio.
Okay.
I know.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
It didn't win him a championship.
You remember years ago.
Got him rock solid in the middle.
Down in Phoenix, they were freaking out because Antonio McDyess was going to leave. And they had Jason Kidd, and these guys flew to Denver.
Yeah.
It's Antonio McDyess. I mean, we go crazy over these guys that in 10 years nobody remembers.
Yep. Right? Living in the moment, passionately want to win.
Yeah. They're going to sell their souls. I think they send Jason Kidd and Rex Chapman to hunt down Antonio McDyess. And Gail Miller had to go to San Diego in the mountains on July 4th to try to get Hayward. Well, Hayward, here, let me open the door for you, son. Where do you want to go? I'll drive you there. I mean, Gordon Hayward, looking back.
The history of the league. When people recount the history of the league, they're not going to recount Gordon.
Right. Now, good for him. He made millions and millions and millions of dollars. That's why there's no losers in pro sports.
Ding.
But, I mean, he was a franchise changer. And they chanted his name, Gordon Hayward, when it was obvious this was going to be the end of the run. Yeah, against I think the Warriors swept them, and we got to have Gordon Hayward. And the Kings, their fans did it with Chris Webber. Chris Webber, what's he noted for? Calling a timeout when they didn't have it and dating Tyra Banks.
Yep, there it is. Bill sounds like one of your people, PK. Bill lives in Las Vegas. Must be listening to us online, KSLSports.com. Maybe he gets the podcast. YouTube, KSLSports.com, whenever, wherever. Bill says, we will be beating them in the play-in game next season, and then we'll see who the losers are.
Oh,
how about a little sarcasm, a little in your face, and yeah. Oh. Bill, he's probably born in Jersey.
Have a little civil war with my family.
You and your sister's going at it.
Only my one. The other one doesn't care. But my one sister's a hardcore sports fan.
Dave, I agree with him. Teaching a culture of losing is hard to undo later. Well, I guess we can put that to the test next year, and I get the point. It could happen, but it's not in this case.
Well,
I don't think it's going to be in this case.
All these teams that you just read from Tony
have turned it around, yeah.
Did they not have a culture of losing?
Of course, also, you swap out enough guys, then all that culture is gone, and
yeah, but I mean,
but the guys who stayed didn't get burned by it.
You're tanking for the sake to get the draft picks and the foundational players, the Chet Holmgrens of the world. Those guys are not leaving. No. They're staying.
Right.
The one argument, and they were talking about this on the NBA channel when I was driving in this morning, is that, and this will be something I thought, this is DJ will salivate over this.
All right, let's go. Put on the salivary glands. Here we go.
I don't know.
Yuck, maybe you. Could you salivate over about 60% of stuff I salivate
about? Look to the
about?
left, so none of it, there's no...
so there's no flying spittle landing on you? That's disgusting.
Right. Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
That he said, he must have been a name because he was hosting on the NBA network, but I don't know the name. They never said it, and I couldn't recognize the voice. He said that... I can't remember the last time a number one pick won an NBA title.
Oh, good one.
And then they went and they pointed out that you can win titles without top picks. Jokic is the classic example. Kawhi Leonard, Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Antetokounmpo, is a foreigner and all, But Kawhi Leonard, there's really no excuse. Jokic, a foreigner dude, so there might be a little bit there. Although that's weak now. But I'll entertain the argument, but in my mind, it's still weak with the amount of scouting and all that stuff around the world, right? And then they obviously Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was later. Jalen Williams, who's Cody's older brother, it was like a 12 pick. Not that he's in and of himself, but he's a critical component of. They were talking about Finals MVPs, and Williams is, and so there's a bunch of guys that have won titles that weren't these high picks.
Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis went back-to-back as number ones in 2011 and 12, and they have both won championships. Now, Kyrie won it in Cleveland because LeBron came back, right? Davis won it because he was in New Orleans and leveraged his way out and got to L.A. and
secondary players, good players.
Yeah, but you're way more likely. I mean,
prime.
Anthony Bennett was a complete bust. Markelle Fultz, DeAndre Ayton. I mean, there's a lot of number ones. There's some guys who are too young. We'll see what happens with Flagg and Wembanyama because everybody's been going nuts about them the last 3 years.
Well, they look fine.
Right. But will they end up being the best player on a championship team? I mean, you can see why people were going nuts about them, but they haven't done it yet. Time will tell.
Understood. I agree. But I also can see why teams would tank for the opportunity to get them.
Sure. Right. And Detroit got the number one pick, Cade Cunningham, and now they lead the East.
Good player.
Yeah.
People don't put Detroit in it because they haven't done it yet, but they've gotten to the point where they have the opportunity to do it based on sucking.
Yeah. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. David Locke with more on the Utah Jazz coming up at the top of the hour. We got some college hoops for you next. Stay with us.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK reminding you, KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. College hoops tomorrow night, PK. The Utes are trying to get back-to-back wins at home against UCF. Be nice to win a few games. It's hard to go through a season and just get drilled over and over. The Aggies are on the road in Reno.
Utes are on a winning streak, man.
I like it. Get some W's. Let's go.
You had one game. And who was it, Oklahoma State that they led and then
couldn't finish, couldn't seal the deal. Got away in the last few minutes.
So, see what they can do.
Utah State's at Nevada tomorrow night. They're in Reno. Nevada's 12-2 at home, so not an easy place to win. But the Aggies now with a one-game lead, and we're coming down the stretch. They got San Diego State next, so two big road games here.
What are you, Lafitte Pinkai?
Lafitte Pinkai, great jockey. Is he like 80s and 90s? Or probably even longer than that. Some of those guys ride for 40 years.
They can ride in their 50s if they want.
And then you got the BYU Cougars with Iowa State coming in, a chance to get a big win, shock the world, and take down number 6 Iowa State.
And I went back and listened to what Kevin said after the Arizona game, and I support what he's saying. I agree with him. He's talking about how they're now trying to put this thing together on the fly, and there were some good things. There's no question there were some good things. You got to build upon it, and you got to win, right? And that's the whole idea of having a basketball team. The number one thing. You can do all these other things, but you got to win. And so they have this golden opportunity here presenting itself against a really good team, against a big-time buff coach. He's the buffest coach in college basketball. Those biceps are just impressive. Hockey is the only guy I know who can give him a run for his money. Eddie Hockey, my sister's friend down there from Arizona. And with that in mind, now you've had a week to process it and a week to work on it, obviously with it being the loss of Richie Saunders. And so I have I have a level of optimism that they can do this.
Been a long time since they held somebody to 75 points. To go do that in Arizona, they played hard, and they played pretty smart and limited a lot of easy shots. There were a few exceptions, obviously, with some turnovers that bit them. But it wasn't all bad. I mean, offensively,
been a long time, you say?
It's been a long time, been a long time, been a long.
I knew you were a rocker.
Yeah.
Underneath that.
Somewhere. Past all the dust and the cobwebs. There'd be some classic rock. And Iowa State with a 3-3 record on the road. So you're saying there's a chance.
I have a level of optimism for the Cougars. Not that they're going to be able to roll by any stretch. It's going to be every game now is going to be harder for them to win, obviously. Just for the loss of the production and the caliber of player. Plus, the spiritual leader, the heart and soul of the team, the Cougar. And you can look at DeBonsa, and that guy, for only going to be there 1 year, he has ingratiated himself into BYU really, really well, and I respect him for that. But the fact is, Richie Saunders, local kid, LDS kid, mission, it's all about what BYU is about. It's emblematic in Richie Saunders. So he goes down, and he doesn't have a second chance to play college ball. It's over. He can't come back next year. It's done. And so besides the literal production, it's an emotional blow to everyone. And it takes a bit to overcome that. And now, okay, it's not that everything is solved and forget about Richie. It's been a week now. I'm not saying that. But you have had time to process it. You've had time to get out on the floor, play a really good opponent, play to practice, to go to film room.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm expecting a more cohesive performance from this team. Because we saw a week ago where Kevin Young said, Cata's got to play better. He said that in the postgame last Saturday. We did play better.
Yeah.
He gave us his Cata performance. So look inward to each of these guys, and Cata did what he's capable of doing. Played very well the other night, 4 blocks. So now everybody's got to look at themselves. I got to step up.
A lot of these guys who are getting more minutes and a better chance to impact the game now get it for this. Well, I guess the third time. They kind of got it on the fly in the game where Saunders got hurt. They're back at home. Maybe they got a little better feel for it, and role players tend to play better at home. And Iowa State lost at TCU and at Cincinnati, and those teams are both 6 and 7 in the league. And I get there's some people listening to this right now saying, come on, man, BYU is going to be, with this schedule, they're going to be a 500 team down the stretch. That might end up being true. Even if they beat Iowa State, it might end up being true. But that's what TCU and Cincinnati are, and Iowa State lost to both of them on the road. So it could happen. It's intriguing enough. You definitely want to turn the game on Saturday night and see what happens. 8:30 on ESPN. David Locke next on the Utah Jazz. They are in Memphis tonight. The All-Star break is over for the Jazz. They are playing games again. We'll talk with David Locke next. Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, at 8:30.
Do you love rom-coms? Do you wish you could talk about Christmas movies year-round? Then we have the perfect podcast for you, Hallmarkies Podcast. Throughout the year, we cover all things romance, holiday, and Hallmark, including recaps of every Hallmark show, like When Calls the Heart and The Way Home. You can also get loads of bonus content covering shows like Bridgerton, Sweet Magnolias, and Just Like That. We are an all-female group of friends who are passionate for these shows and movies and give our honest opinions as well as gush over what we love so much. But that's not all. Every Monday, there are interviews with all your favorite actors, writers, directors, and more. Check out Hallmarkies Podcast on all your podcast providers and on YouTube. That's Hallmarkies Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined now by David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, good morning.
Good morning, David James, Patrick Kinahan. Friday, back at it, NBA season, talking to the guys. Oh, my goodness, I'm fired up. Just, it's inspiring to be connected to such greatness in even the most mundane way of just filling time for you so that you can have breakfast. It is just awesome.
I have to just applaud you for your focus. I went back in time, that opening question last week from DJ, 2.5 minutes, and you stayed with it the whole time.
He took 2.5 minutes to ask me a question?
Yeah, the first one.
Set up when it went back 40 years of tanking and started with the Rockets in the mid-'80s.
Literally 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
The history of tanking.
It's the longest question in Bonneville sports history.
Bonneville sports.
It's not, despite the fact that David James will go to the Hall of Fame, it is not in the Hall of Fame. It is not in the textbook of how young broadcasters should ask questions.
Well, he got on a roll, man. And sometimes you get on a roll, it's like a wave. It can't be stopped. You just have to wait till it get crushed and start to go down.
You have greatness exuding out of you like David James does on a daily basis.
He's a basketball genius, too, man.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's very hard for us common folk.
Yeah.
Patrick, to relate to people around the genius that must be David James's brain at all times.
I did not have us common folk. I didn't have that on a list of cliches you might throw out during this. 1/3 of the NBA season left. What are you, for the Utah Jazz, what are you most looking forward to seeing in this stretch?
I think the kind of number one talking point I've had recently, and I don't think it's one that, Austin or Will can say honestly, but I think is the truth, is that the world just changed on Cody Williams, Bryce Sensabaugh, Kyle Filipowski, and Isaiah Collier. So, and maybe Vince Williams and John Conchar too. And what I mean by that is, it's interesting to watch them develop and try to play well and get better when you're going to win 25 games. But when you're going to try to win 55 games, you got to be good enough. This is a really important, little less than 2-month developmental test. Can Kyle Filipowski be a backup big, either 4 or 5 on an NBA team trying to win 50 games? Can Isaiah Collier can Isaiah Collier do that? Can Cody Williams do that? And if they can't, then it's probably time to make really drastic moves, because we're in it now. And starting next year, we're going for it. And if Kyle Filipowski, Cody Williams, Bryce Sensabaugh, or Isaiah Collier are not good enough to be in that circumstance and play those minutes, then they're just not going to play. Or someone else is going to be on the roster that is going to play. And then if that's the case, then, we're not waiting 2 or 3 more years for these guys anymore. So I just think it's a really, really monumentally important stretch for their careers, and then our evaluation of them. Might even mean you should have them finish games.
I agree.
So that you can learn. Just a thought.
To me, all this tanking stuff is, we're criticizing teams for losing. Well, the reality of it is they're actually trying to win. It's just not right now. And to deny the Jazz 25 games more, another 25, 26 games, an opportunity to get much more thorough evaluations in NBA games, not Summer League and not whatever. It is all about now, not open gym type things. That's ridiculous. It's almost like I want to say, how dare anybody deny the Jazz the opportunity, especially the Jazz, because of the fact that they had all these draft picks that they actually didn't give away and brought in players. Now this is real-time evaluations. How does anybody have the right to say you can't do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I find that to be the most, and they won.
Well, sure. And throw in Ace Bailey, too, in there, He's a teenager.
And they won one of the games, right?
And the other one, it was a 2-point loss or something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that people got in the ear of Adam Silver, and he caved because he had a press conference coming the next day.
Well, he needs to just shut up then.
Good. Go get him, PK.
Right behind
And
you.
I'm not even this diehard fan. I'm just looking at it logically.
No, I mean, it's just like the thing that drives me crazy on this, and I just, so we played Lowry and Jaren Jackson 9 minutes in that second half. Okay. So had we allocated the 9 minutes differently, would it have been better?
I know.
I don't know. Maybe not.
No,
But
I
like,
was
let's
saying
say
they should sit out in the third quarter now. Just
Right.
totally
100%.
mess with them,
That's the point.
mess with the league. Just
Right.
take quarters to rotate the quarters they don't play.
Right. Like, so if Lowry had played 9 minutes and he had played the first 5 minutes and the final 4, would it have been fine?
Based on the logic they used, yes.
3 would it have been right.
There's a list out. ESPN has a story. Everybody's got the story. You can see it. There's like 6 or 7 ideas for how to combat tanking, and they're really going to examine it this summer. And it's not going to impact the Jazz that much because we're going to see, them move up in the standings and probably move out of all this talk for several years now. But when I looked at the list, it's like they've already talked about flattening the odds for all the lottery teams. They did that, and that's in Ewing went to the Knicks when the Warriors had the worst record, but the Warriors fell all the way back to 7th, which at the time was the end of the lottery. That's terrible, so they went away from it. Now they're bringing it back out like it's a new idea. It just feels like they're moving the bag back at first base or over into the dugout or something.
No, I mean, the system incentivizes this. It's a problem. And, like the idea that, we're going to set it at the trade deadline. Oh, good. So teams can go 2-36 to start the season.
Right.
That would be great.
Yep.
Yeah, but nobody's paying attention as much to basketball at that time of year.
I mean, that's really the answer. I mean, a lot of this, what happens here is that the minute the NFL season finishes, known as they talk about, then the NBA goes in the spotlight. Last year was TV ratings, and this year was tanking.
Yeah.
Right? That's literally what happens here. And the TV ranking story was wrong, and this year the tanking story, because Sam Presti, according to Tony Jones, was making the rounds to get people to react, got people to react. So, I mean, the best answer I've heard from anyone is something that's pretty radical. I don't think they would do it, but the answer is that Kevin Pelton's, is that when the season is over, you announce randomly select a date, and it's the draft order is based on the winning percentage of teams after that date. But they don't know the date.
Oh, man. That's like a box of chocolates in Tom Hanks movie?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, yeah.
I mean, so the idea is that you go through the season, and if you don't make the playoffs, you don't make the playoffs. And then your record after a certain date, I think it's if whoever wins the most, you've incentivized winning now, is you then flip the draft order. And, that would be the only way that I've seen where at no point along the way are you incentivized to lose.
Yeah, but I don't know that changes anything that the Jazz are doing.
Right. Well, I mean, getting rid of we might decide to get rid of protected picks too.
That's another. Yeah, but that's irrelevant to what the Jazz are doing. They drafted all these dudes. Now they got to find out if they can play. So when it's time to win, which is October, what do we have?
Right. So that's very clear.
Do you think
that is very clear?
Do you think, given the big trade you said and your expectations, like these young guys have got to really show that they can do it because the Jazz are going to be trying to do it next year? Can you really win? Do you expect this is going to be a really busy summer, or the fact all this tanking is going on is because they changed the salary cap rules and it got harder to make trades, it got harder to sign free agents, and everyone's had to lean into the draft big time? And that really, those unintended consequences from the last labor negotiations are why we are where we are, and the Jazz will be a little handcuffed this summer.
I think we have a little bit of a mix because we actually have a few teams with cap space, Jazz no longer, and we have some kind of free agents that are a little interesting, so I think there's going to be a little bit of a mix there.
A little thawing, huh?
Yeah, I think Austin Reeves stays in L.A., but I'm not sure. I don't think Peyton Watson stays in Denver just because of money. So I think there's going to be some movement there. That'll be interesting. I think Ja gets moved. There's still some lingering players from the trade deadline that didn't get moved. And then I think from a Jazz-specific standpoint, I haven't talked to anyone, but I'm not totally convinced that these guys that are on our roster right now are bench players next year.
I know. You said that.
Yeah. If you can get better veterans, I get it.
Yeah, like, I don't want to use a name because I'm not trying to call anyone out, but just take whichever of the young players. Like, really, if you're not sure that they can contribute next year, when would they ever contribute? Like, we're in it, right? We got an iteration. This is like a 2 or 3 year window where we're in it, and then the next iteration is after Lowry and Jaren's contracts start to come up. Then we have to figure out what we're doing next because we're going to have a little bit of a money problem. We've paid Walker and Keyonte, and then Ace Bailey's contract comes up after that, and whoever we draft this year, hopefully getting a pick, comes up after that. Like, you're starting to make changes. Like, you don't really have 3 years for someone to develop. They need 3 years.
But couldn't you argue that that's one reason why you need to keep those guys to make sure they develop because they'd be cheaper?
If, in fact, they would be cheaper, yes. But I'm not sure they would be.
Depending on how good they get and depending on who they are, the market for, a few types of players is always a little higher. Yeah,
right.
I can see your point.
If somebody's willing to pay one of these guys, then, that's a catch-22, right? If they get good enough that they can get paid, then we probably want them. But if they're going to get paid, we probably can't keep them. So it gets a little tricky.
Sure, understood. But then if you would be trading them away, you'd be getting back similar financial situations.
I think it's going to be very active offseason. You go to a team that has a mid-range veteran on their team, and maybe we'd rather have him who can give us 14, 15 minutes guaranteed without the warts.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little higher on some of these guys than you might be. And I realize you don't want to list individual names and you can't really in your position. But I see stuff there. Not that I'm a big basketball expert who knows all this stuff.
I see stuff there, but trying to win 50 games is really hard. And if you have glaring weaknesses, then the stuff doesn't get to shine.
I'm more PK than you in this discussion. I think there's something there with these guys. Now, having said that, the comfort zone.
Stop making a claim that I don't think there's something there.
Okay.
I think it's hard to win 55 games.
Yeah, especially if you up it to 55. And especially if they think, hey, we've got to be able to win in the playoffs. I think it depends on where they're setting the bar for what they want to accomplish next year. If they want to win 50 in the regular season and lose in the first round, I think they're well on their way to building that kind of team, and I think there's a good chance they can pull it off, noting that that's still a long way away, so we're trying to look way in the future, which is dangerous. But if they're sitting there thinking, we have to win a playoff series next year, and you know that the Thunder and the Spurs and the Nuggets are probably going to be set up to win playoff series, like there's not a lot more room to get in the second round. And if that's where they're setting the bar, then I think they're going to need to upgrade the roster and bring in some veterans.
Right. So that's where my bar. My bar is you're a top 6 team. You're not in the play-in. You're a playoff team, and you're competing to get to the second round of playoffs in a real series. And the reason is because these windows close too fast for you to meander your way into it.
Right. Yeah. You don't have 6 years for these guys to grow up and figure it out.
So do what Lindsay did then and get those vets to augment the young guys when Snyder was coaching and they took the big leap and won a playoff series.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's who's the next. Not the way he came, not the way he developed this, but by the time he's done with this, who's Royce O'Neal? Maybe it's Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, but also don't they have to add a Joe Johnson? I mean, he hits the shot to win game one at the Clippers and send the message to the team, we can win this series, right? That's the message he sent when he hit that shot. But there's a bunch of people on the court at that moment that I would not have trusted to hit that shot. I mean, it probably could have gone to Hayward, and none of us would have trusted him to hit that shot. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's where I am. I might be wrong. This is just one guy talking. As I said, I have not talked to anyone. I'm not speaking as a company spokesperson, but I think the goal would be to be top 6 in the West. It's going to be hard. There's 7 teams, I think, next year that really have a chance for it. To be trying to knock off someone like Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs in the 4 or 5 matchup to get to the second round. Play Oklahoma City.
Maybe there's an opportunity to have both because they got so many young guys, so you keep some, get rid of some.
Yeah, my concern on that, I agree. No, I think that's the answer. You just have to decide which one. Maybe you think all 4 of them can do this, or all 6 of them, and then they stay.
But maybe it's also maybe it rests on who's available, doesn't it, David? I mean, depending on who you can get, it could impact Collier at a guard, or it could impact Filipowski. It depends on who's available and who you can bring in.
Right. And I think this is exciting. Like, I think this is great. Like, the way Isaiah Collier's been closing some games recently gives you hope. The way Bryce Sensabaugh hits some big shots gives you hope. The way Kyle's improved some of his defensive stuff gives you hope.
Which all adds up to the opportunity to get more evaluations. So somebody from the Jazz needs to tell the NBA to shut the bleep up.
I think they probably have.
They're doing it the right way under the circumstances that they have. Not all tanking is the same thing.
Yeah.
For everybody. It's not just a blanket method. The Jazz have far more legitimacy in doing what they do if you just look at the rosters and look at the capital that they've already expended to get these guys. Now they have the right to evaluate them.
Right. You're preaching to the choir here.
Well, David, we'll leave it right there for now. We'll hear you on the call. You got a game, and then do you sit on the road for a couple of days? Because Houston's Monday.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the time, as always, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Bye.
Okay. David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, joining us right here on The Zone. When we come back, Pablo Mastroeni, RSL's opener tomorrow night. Stick around. He's joining us next.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
One of Adam Silver's biggest problems is that he is not consistent at all, and he sets all these crazy precedents that he doesn't live up to, or he sets a precedent he can never live up to. He can't sit there and manage Will Hardy's lineup.
If you want to say conduct detrimental to the NBA, that could be every single night in the NBA with what happens with rotations or who's available and who's not available that doesn't apply to the player participation policy. You know, the Jazz can rest Yusuf Nurkic all they want. He's not in the player participation policy, but if suddenly the NBA says, well, that's detrimental to the NBA and we're going to fine you anyways, then this opens a can of worms that you can't enforce every night because you can't fine your teams every single night they step on the court.
Because he doesn't care about policy and never has. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on Carvana. Delivery fees may apply.
DJ and PK, we're brought to you by University of Utah Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. Pablo Mastroeni scheduled to join us here momentarily. We just had David Locke on talking about the Utah Jazz. It'll be an intriguing summer, seeing what the Jazz do. There have to be some veteran role player additions. It seems crazy to me there wouldn't be any.
Agreed.
But which guy, if that leads to some of the young guys getting jettisoned, which guy, I really do wonder how much of that comes down to what they show in the last 25 games, how much confidence they have in them, but then also just like who's available. It's a numbers game. It's a little bit of a lottery here. You know, when you're not the best player, and then you're waiting on what somebody else decides. DJ, PK, we're joined by Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach. Pablo, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Pablo, no one ever really compliments the schedule or says the league did them a solid. People like to complain about that kind of stuff across all sports. But I think the fact that you get to open in Vancouver, since you have to train indoors on turf, which I know you don't love, and you got to play a game on turf, which I'm pretty sure you don't love, and neither do the players, isn't it good that you're at least playing on the turf while you're training on the turf?
There you go, DJ. It's the silver lining. Yeah, it's all about perspective. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. No, it's true. It's true. I think that's a great point. And it's been tough on the turf, obviously. But if there's no better time, you know, because when you're in the middle of the summer the last thing you want to do is come inside and train on turf to prepare for Vancouver. So it aligns itself beautifully.
You know, I've been a sports fan, I think, literally my whole life. When I came out of the womb, the doctor slapped me on the butt. I was like, okay, I got to go, man. I got to watch a game. I mean, from birth, right? It's really, I'm so one-dimensional. I don't know anything about anything else. And each start of the season, we were joking about spring training baseball games start today. And I said, I'm going to go watch the Diamondbacks, blah, 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 blah. And the point is, no matter what season starts, I'm excited for it. Now, I'm wondering from your perspective, this is something you've been doing a long time, not necessarily jitters or butterflies or whatever, but just define your level of excitement with a new season right here before you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit the same way. You know, obviously I experienced it, having played for the last, I don't know how many years of my life, whether it was a preseason in club soccer or high school or college, playing pros and now coaching, it's the same juices that get fired, and I think more than anything else, PK, it's just being in the arena, it's being in there and, rolling up the sleeves and really getting to work and building. And I think the cool thing from a coaching perspective is that the challenges that we experienced last year, some of them will be replicated, but I think the majority will be new, given that we have a relatively a core group of guys coming back that I think can lead through some of those familiar difficulties. I think some of the ones that we'll experience this year will be new, and as a coach and coaching staff, it's really cool to try to find solutions, right? And it's solutions, as far as the culture is concerned, solutions, player management, solutions for the tactical adjustments you need to make during games, given the different shapes that different teams will play. So I think, one of the things as a coach that I pride myself on is being a problem solver. And I think that's the beauty of this job, where you go into work and you go in assuming everything's going to turn out, and you walk out of that, you get in your car to go home and you go, I cannot believe the amount of variables that went a certain way that I had no idea were going to happen. And so, I think it's exciting. And then you obviously have a new group of players, and we've brought in quite a few, real quality, experienced players to add to the group. And so, once we get everyone up and going and, the collective on the field, I'm really, really excited for 2026.
You like to solve problems. Apparently, you got a few. Apparently, Wednesday's practice gave you a whole new training session, gave you a whole new set of problems. And the only people more secretive than NBA coaches are, well, it's tied really between the NHL and Major League Soccer. They just really like to stay super vague on injuries. So I know you don't want to go into it, but when people see the starting 11 in Vancouver, they may assume that, you were day drinking, Pablo. I mean, this is going to be this is going to be a little unusual, but people should know that this is you playing the hand you were dealt.
Yes. I don't consider myself I don't consider myself a tinkerer. I play the cards that are dealt and try to do so in the best way to put the team in a position to be successful. And obviously, as you pointed out, there's some injuries midweek, and then we have some visa stuff going on with quite a few of the guys that are still up in the air. And so, again, a lot of variables. But here's an opportunity for a few guys that maybe weren't anticipating getting a good run. And now it's, as a staff, how do we prepare them to make sure that they're playing free, they're playing brave, they're expressing themselves, they're not just filling in, right? It's a wonderful opportunity, and this is how some careers are spawned. And our job as a staff is to make sure everyone's prepared. Everyone knows the adjustments we've made tactically. Everyone's gotten reps in preseason. And a lot of these guys, ironically, played in a couple of games in Portugal together, just happenstance. And so I feel like these guys are going to be in a position to be able to express themselves, to compete the right way, and hopefully at the end of the day get a great result.
Every season has its twists and turns, ups and downs. It just doesn't matter the sport. It's just the way it is, particularly these longer seasons that you may have, and everybody's got them at the professional level. So there's going to be guys that maybe surprise, maybe disappoint. But, in staying with DJ's silver lining, let's just go for the surprise. If you're going to say some players that you're looking to make adjustments, or not adjustments, but leaps, improvements, I guess is probably the better word. You got some teenagers, you got some guys in your early 20s. I mean, we know guys like Justin Glad and so forth. We know what we're getting there. But can you just speak to maybe some of the guys who have an opportunity to maybe have a breakout that the fans can watch as we get going into the summer?
Yeah, I think two guys off the top of my head, Aiden Herzakani, who's been at the academy for a few years now and played quite a few minutes with the Monarchs and had his debut into the league last year for, I think, 45 minutes, has been really sharp in preseason. He's an attacking, creative style player, a little bit like Diego Luna, where he can create opportunities for his teammates, but he can also score. He's a left-footed player, really smooth and really balanced. And so, again, I think the attacking positions are always the hardest to acclimate to at the highest level because the speed of the game is exponentially faster. And the games he's played and the competition he's gone up against has been of MLS caliber and has done a really good job. So that's Aiden Herzakani. And the other one is Luka Moisa. And to be honest, he's a player that I had zero expectations heading into preseason. He represented the U.S. in the Under-17 World Cup and plays in the middle of midfield. The one thing I can say about Luka is that he's got a sublime awareness and high soccer acumen. And even though he's a bit diminutive and hasn't really grown into his body yet,
he's 17 years old. Who has?
Right, exactly. No, it's incredible. And so, but the fact that he can hang in these games and even be solid in these games, to me, is a shock. Because I go back to when I was, at Thunderbird High, and I was his same size, and I'm playing high school games against, Greenway, and now he's potentially playing against Vancouver, the Western Conference champs. And so these guys, these are the two players that I think can really have breakthrough. And again, the way I'd like to say it is, it's not so much this year, because I don't think it's fair to say that this is going to be their year. But what I'm saying is they have done well enough to step on the field this year, contribute meaningfully. But when that breakout happens, it's in the next year or two, maybe even three. But they're trending in a direction that is really, really good for them at their age.
I always hated the Demons, Pablo, hated them with a passion. And then I go to NAU my first year. I end up best buddies with the guy who was the quarterback at Greenway. Small world.
See how it works?
Yeah. That's the universe, right, Pablo?
That's karma. That's exactly right.
What about Xavier Gozo? Because not only do you
he's 18, man.
want him to take a leap, you need him to take a leap. What have you seen from him, and how might he be a different player this year than last year?
Oh, DJ, I mean, the growth of Xavier has been incredible. He continues to impress. I remember when he first got to the group last year, as far as 1v1, he was very one-dimensional, where if he played on the right side, he'd take his touch always to the right and end up getting bodied by, a bigger defender. Towards the end of last year, he really spent a lot of time coming onto his left foot. And now defenders are thinking he can go right. If he pushes it past me by right, there's a good chance that I don't have the speed. And now he's cutting onto his left and scored a wonderful goal in a preseason game, cutting into his left from about 20 yards out, which was non-existent at the start of last year. And then he had another great opportunity in our last preseason game, same type of action. And so now you have a player in the wide areas who's fast, who's physically elite, but now technically is adding layers and layers to his game. And so for me, he was the best attacking player in preseason, and continues to be one of the most important players for the team. And the other part is that he's flexible. He can play up front. He can play as a wing back. And the one interesting thing about him as a wing back is that when we're in a lower mid-block defending and he gets going, it's really, really difficult for that left back or that left wing back to stay with him because he's just so fast. And so Gozo's a player that I think has, he can be. I got to be careful when I say things like this because it's still early days, but he can be an elite striker, not only for Major League Soccer, but Major League Soccer and beyond. I think I see him representing the U.S. national team in the next few years because he is the way he commits to his craft and it improves on a daily is tremendous. So a player that I am just so proud of and really the commitment he's made to being the best professional he can be.
You talk about get this thing going, and the funny thing is the game, first game counts as much as the 25th game, and so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. So how do you make sure that the mindset is okay? This is a long season, and there'll be changes and so forth, but these games count.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we definitely want to get out of the gates as best we can. Obviously, everything in context and being that the group that's going out might be a little bit. There's going to be a lot of debuts on day one, and so my expectations as a coach is nothing changes as far as the way I look at things, and that's really through process. And again, we can't let results validate the work that we're doing because there's times where you play poorly and you get a good result, and there's times you play really, really well and you don't. And the one consistent must be that our processes, the understanding of our tactics and how we implement them, the methodology, all these things that are under our control have to be examined really, really closely. And so we'll get a lot of information from this game. And we'll use this game as a foundational piece for the following game. And the idea is by the end of the season, you should be able to close your eyes and just hear the ball move and move according to where the ball is. And that's really the aim. And obviously, we want to win these games early days. But it's also making sure that we don't put the cart before the horse and understand that what we do Monday through Friday is the most important thing to put us in a position to be successful on Saturday.
You played defensive midfield at a very high level, Pablo, won a championship as a player and played in 2 World Cups. You see the game that way, and I got to say I'm a little surprised. I mean, I get the formation change, but I'm a little surprised because it does seem like you could be pushing a lot of guys forward and leaving yourself open on counterattacks with 3 in the back and the 2 defensive midfielders. You've talked about, hey, one of those guys has got to be giving us some late arriving runs and be an extra attacker when we get into the, get closer to goal. How comfortable are you and how much have you seen with that? Because you've literally come into a post game after like a 3-2 win, and that was wildly entertaining, and I hated every minute of it. And you got a huge laugh with that line, but I know you were telling the truth. It kills you. You would much rather win, a 1-goal game than have 4, 5, 6 goals scored in a game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum, DJ, and one. Because we're also in entertainment, right? Yeah. Fans come to see entertainment. If I don't evolve as an ex-player who played defensive mid into what makes this game great, and for me, when I watch sports, it's really about attacking. I mean, defending, no one really, whatever. It's super important from a coaching perspective. It's super important. But really, if we park the bus, and a little bit like what Minnesota did the last couple of years, I mean, I had anxiety watching that because, again, they were prolific in the counterattack, but the amount of opportunities opponents get because you're playing so close to your own goal starts to become dangerous as well. And so I always feel like you can, one of the things that we talked about internally as a staff is like, I want to improve the way we want to play and not change the way we want to play because things aren't going well, right? So how do we improve our rest defense, which is the shape behind the ball, as you point out? We don't want 2 pivots going forward, but we can definitely have 1 if we're organized and we make that a focal point of our practice. And so there's so many components to it. But the other part too is you can convince players to defend if you're also allowing them to attack. It's very difficult to convince a group of 11 players to just sit behind the ball, and then we win the ball, we're just going to send 2 or 3 guys forward. Everyone enjoys the game of soccer when they're in possession of the ball. Yeah. And it's hard to convince the guys up front to work if there's no sugar behind it. So we want to be a dynamic team. We want to have 5 guys minimum in the attack. The 6th guy is one of the pivots, which is an element of surprise, which adds a big question mark in certain moments. But we also want to be cognizant of the fact that we don't want to get broken down in transition. And I think there's a happy medium in that. But the most important thing is I want our guys to be aggressive. I want them to express themselves. I want them to be brave. And I want our fans to be the best 12th man. And the easiest way to do that is to have a lot of attacking action.
Agreed.
Hey, if you don't like defending, the best thing you can do is defend and win the ball back. Then you don't have to defend anymore. If you just jog around and give a half effort, they're going to string 30 passes together. You're going to be defending forever, running from sideline to sideline, giving up corners, and that's no fun. So
hire him, Pablo. Make him be your coach, assistant coach right there, man.
I was going to say, that's right. That's right, Coach DJ.
I'm done with him on radio.
The only truth here is neither one of you want to deal with me. All right, Pablo, you win. You get to go away. You get to go away and concoct whatever lineup. I think we're all looking forward to seeing Cabral as a striker. I think that'll be awesome. So,
not happening.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Bring him up for that header at the end of the game and win it. That is what you'll do.
There you go.
All right.
That's the only thing he needs left. He's done everything else for us, so might as well give that a go.
Might as well get a game-winning goal on the road in the opener.
I'd give it a gozo before I'd give it that one.
Yeah. There you go.
All
okay, you're actually now you should be the coach because that's well said. That's well said.
All right, now the club is absolutely wrecked. absolutely wrecked.
All right, guys.
All right, enjoy the trip to Vancouver. We'll watch the opener, see how that goes. You can hear it here on The Zone, and we will talk to you again next week, hopefully, Pablo.
All right, guys. Take care. Thank you.
There's Pablo Mastroeni. The opener's at Vancouver tomorrow night. Apple TV, you can hear it here on The Zone. It's early start 5:30, a little earlier than normal when you're playing on the West Coast.
As I understand that Apple TV, you don't need the extra subscription, right?
They got rid of the double paywall thing.
So
Apple
long as you
TV
have
covers it.
Yeah, so long as you have Apple TV,
it's good enough.
You're good enough. You don't have to have the MLS Plus
package.
subscription.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It used to be called the double paywall, but it's just one now, so it's good to go. And they're home. The home opener is a week away. Seattle will be here next weekend. DJ and PK at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Stay with us. We got a lot to come, including the Jazz at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
This past summer, we introduced the first ever Top 60 and 60 watch list. And now that the season is over, it's time to rank the best players in the state of Utah. It's the Top 60 and 60 ranking show, presented by Kenny J's Barbecue. Coming up this Friday, the Zone will rank the players that made the biggest impact on the state from the 2025 season. Live from Kenny J's Barbecue at the District in South Jordan, it's the Top 60 and 60 ranking show, presented by Kenny J's Barbecue, where you can get 10% off your catering order at KennyJ'sBBQ.com. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Salt Lake County Players of the Week, brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. And this week, our winners, Nevaeh Crosby from West Jordan High and Samio Takavea from West High. Crosby tallied 17 points in a win at Hunter, followed up with 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 steals in a win over Kearns. Takavea tallied 16 points and 9 rebounds in a win over Granger, and then 19 points and 15 boards in a victory over Taylorsville. The Salt Lake County Players of the Week Award, proudly presented by Hercules First Federal Credit Union. At Hercules, they're celebrating the everyday victories. Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. PK, we have many things coming together all at once. We've got gold medal just awarded in women's hockey. We've got semifinals and then the gold and bronze medal game Sunday for men's hockey. We've got the NBA restarting. We've got several intriguing college basketball games Saturday night for the local teams. And we just had Pablo on. RSL's season opener is at 5:30 tomorrow. So, with all of that, there's also spring training games.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
I was going to say, you're forgetting the most important thing here.
Spring training games are here.
Because that means spring is coming after a long, hard winter and just all that time we've all spent shoveling snow.
Has it been a hard winter?
Not really.
It's supposed to say that, but obviously it hasn't. That would be interesting to see what happens in March, if March ends
Oh,
up
yeah.
being a snow record month.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, your wife coached high school sports for years, and you've often said that the kids who play sports and spring sports, those are the one who really get the shaft from the weather. Winter's indoors, so
Doesn't
the
matter,
swimming,
yeah.
the wrestling, the basketball can all go on. But in the spring, the kids who are playing baseball and softball and lacrosse and track, good luck, kids.
They get dumped on, literally.
Literally, yeah.
And the wind and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not fun.
So much going on. All right, well, one of the things that's going on is your Utah Jazz. Back at it tonight in Memphis. We are talking Jazz next. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
This is Mike Bolo of Lexicon Valley.
And I'm Bob Garfield. Are you one of those people who sometimes uses words?
Do you communicate or acquire information with, language?
Hey, us too. So join us on Lexicon Valley to chew over the history, culture, and many mysteries of English, plus some wisecracks.
Find us on one of those apps where people listen to podcasts.
You deserve to feel better today. At Harper Clinic, patients report sleeping deeper, thinking clearer, and feeling stronger because mental health care is more than emotions. It's about your whole body. Work to lower your blood pressure, even boost your immune system. Get help to manage stress, focus, and reconnect. If you're facing anxiety, depression, or just feeling stuck, call Harper Clinic, 801-306-2345, 801-306-2345 to start feeling better.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on Carvana. Delivery fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK.
Yeah.
Your Utah Jazz are back in action tonight. The All-Star break is over. Let's go. 26 games to the end of the season, 26 games to the end of the tank, and then we can talk draft, and we can talk off-season acquisitions and comings and goings, and then start to try and figure out where they might stack up in the West next year. And I know there's a temptation to just talk about tanking and accelerate through the final 26 games of the season. And I get it, and actually if fans want to do it, they can. But, man, in the coaching staff and the front office, still 26 games. This is still valuable. They've got young guys to assess here. They got stuff to figure out. There's going to be trades, whether they make any trades or not. They're going to be talking about them, and they got to be locked in on who they're giving up through this whole 4-year thing. The hidden part of it, it's always about who's coming, but you can't give up on somebody too soon. Somebody who's about you. You can't be on the wrong end of the SGA trade.
No, unless it's a good trade. I mean, obviously, you could say, did they give up on Clayton and Hendricks, or did they go get a guy who will be 27 years old to start the next season, and this was the price you had to pay to give it up? So I
can buy that. You just can't miss by as much as the Clippers miss, because there's no way for the Clippers to get the value back, right? But it is a matter of degrees, and you do have to give up something to get something.
When I was a kid in Phoenix, the Suns were. This reminds me of. A little different now. Now we got the Mammoth, but for much of my time here, living here reminded me when I was a kid in Phoenix.
2 colleges, great in-state rivalry, and one NBA team.
Right, and
there you go.
The Suns just
AAA baseball
dominated.
The
I went home to a place I'd never been before, to quote John Denver. And so they would obsess over everything with the Suns. I tell you, one time a friend of mine said, "Oh man, we got to get Lorenzo Romar." I said, "Why?" He thought Lorenzo Romar was where I was at. But they made a trade that they wanted a big man, and they traded Dennis Johnson for Rick Roby. You want to talk about being on the wrong end of the trade. And Dennis Johnson, Larry Bird says it was his best teammate, And so Dennis Johnson was a really good player, San Pedro kid from California.
Multiple NBA titles.
But played really well. That was an awful trade. So certainly you don't want to do that. And I think the Clippers giving away SGA for Paul George was not good. That was a bad trade. And away you go there. So with that in mind, we'll see what happens. I don't suspect that Walt Clayton or Taylor Hendricks will blow up. And Jaren Jackson is really, really good. I think a lot of that was the draft picks, which, they had at their disposal here. So the point being, for the remainder of the 6-7 weeks of the season, this is a golden opportunity for evaluation, which I don't understand why wasn't that the issue? Why wasn't that ever considered when all this tanking stuff was going on a couple of weeks ago and was that fever pitch? Like I said, we want to evaluate our guys. We're not going to make the playoff. We could play these guys every minute of every game. We're not going to make the playoff. Why are you denying us the opportunity? Because so few teams have as many young guys through the drafts picks that we acquired when we made the trades. And G League, Summer League, pickup ball, those are all fine, but nothing compares to actual NBA basketball.
That's a great argument, but it doesn't satisfy the NBA team that's complaining. At least one NBA team is complaining, and 2 gambling companies are complaining, and the commissioner has a high-profile press conference in a few days. Now, the commissioner isn't going to do much media between now and the playoffs. I'm sure he'll pop up at playoff sites and do it. But by then, the storyline will have
Well, he always
done.
does a little State of the Union.
State of the Union at the
finals.
All-Star break. Yeah. At the finals, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a golden opportunity for all eyes to be on Cody Williams, to be on Collier
for sure.
Continuing with Sensabaugh.
Yes.
We know the guys who they are.
Vince Williams Jr. as a new guy to the team.
And then they got these new dudes, too, that they've only had for a couple of weeks.
What are they going to do with Conchar, right?
Yeah.
John Conchar. I mean, he's 29.
The Lion.
He's not a young guy, but he is signed for another year. And at $6 million, he could go in a trade, but is he useful? What is your rotation going to look like next year? What can he really do?
Right.
Where are you going to slot him in?
Yes, I don't understand why this is against somehow protocol and runes integrity to get a big-time evaluation on each of these individuals. Yeah, absolutely. Do it, and do it to a strong extent. And so you don't allow the other guys to play as much. That's bad? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Locke brought up the point, and I think we can disagree on where we land on our evaluation of the guys, but the point is right. It is one thing to play regular season games versus playoff games, obviously, and it's also another thing to play regular season games when the team is tanking, there's no expectation of winning, which is really every NBA game that Collier has ever played in, every NBA game that Sensabaugh has ever played in, every NBA game that Ace Bailey and Cody Williams have ever played in. I think from what we've seen of them, I think when the competition is more real in the regular season, when they're fighting for something, I think these guys have established to the point that I think they can play backup minutes and be rotation guys, and that'll work. I think when they get to the playoffs or when they're playing elite teams in the regular season, it's really going to show. They're going to be teams with better benches. But there'll be a lot of nights that these young guys, as bench guys, I think they can perform pretty well and help them win games, especially given what I think the starting lineup is going to look like.
See, I don't think the Jazz now going forward, even though, and it's a little bit of a contradiction, so you got to hear me out, I don't think they're tanking exclusively for the purpose to stay in the draft. I think to a good degree, positions 6 through 10 are open for winning. And they're going to try to win next year. That's an absolute fact. Even Presti of Oklahoma City and Adam Silver or whomever, Doris Burke, the great minds of the NBA, they all can see the Jazz are using this time to evaluate who are our rotation guys when we start to win. And it's not like some of these teams, they tank this year, they're going to be tanking next year. Who knows when the tanking is going to be over? There's really no plan. Their plan is to lose for losing sake so they can get the highest pick possible. The Jazz, yes, they're losing to keep the pick, but they're also evaluating for the distinct purpose and real purpose of winning next year. That's an easy argument to make. It doesn't take any stretch of the imagination to make that.
Because I think it's not only about winning next year, it's also about what trades they may or may not make this summer, and also who do they pay and who do they keep and what are they going to do. All these guys are starting to come up against the point where, okay, you got a team option to check out Sensabaugh for another year and Vince Williams for another year, but you're going to have to make a decision on paying them. And if you go right to the end without cutting a deal, some of these guys may get extensions. We'll have to see. Now, at what price, right? Walker Kessler could have gotten an extension last summer, but he didn't. And, how much tension is there over that? How big is the gap? How big is the gap now versus how big was it, back in September, October, whatever,
Plus,
when they weren't coming together?
Changed dramatically since then.
And so, all of these things weigh in. The coaches are probably more concerned about, hey, develop these guys, get them better. But the front office is thinking, do I want to cut a deal with this guy? What's the number? And can we get that figured out? And will the guy agree? And will we get it across the finish line?
Yeah.
And then the phone's going to ring about some team, trying to get some player. It's inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Right. All those things are factoring in. And it starts tonight. I was surprised that Locke had dismissed Collier as much. I know his shortcomings. We all know them.
Yeah.
But running an offense is not one of them. And when you're amassing this level of assists to turnovers, that's valuable. Collier has a place in this league, man. And there's a deficiency there. I understand. Okay. But there's also other stuff that he can do. And I can go down the list with all these guys. And obviously with Ace Bailey, you're not looking for him to be a rotational guy. That's not the goal here.
No, the goal with him is to play him, develop him. To me, that's one of the big arguments for, aside from keeping the pick, obviously. We're just setting that aside for now. One of the big arguments with going to lineup out there is make Ace Bailey the featured guy in the fourth quarter or for entire games and say, Ace, this is what it's like when a whole defense is geared up to stop you. You're going to have to get used to this.
Yeah, that makes me nervous, though, that they might win.
If the whole defense is geared up to stop, if he's the best player on the court, I'm thinking that team's small.
Right, but suppose he succeeds.
Well, if he's that good that he just starts taking over one game after another, then they'll shut him down too.
I do think he can get his shot perimeter-wise off about anybody because he's taller. He's athletic. So we saw it a little bit in the Miami game, right? They lost Orlando, won Miami, right? Mm. I thought he just continues to show signs.
I told you a few weeks ago that if it may come to the point where they have to sit Sensabaugh or Collier or Ace. I mean, we already know they're going to have to sit Keyonte and Markkanen in games. They're going to have to, or they're going to win too many games. But some of these other guys may have to sit too, depending on what happens. I mean, they could see some very watered-down lineups going forward. And these guys, I think they're good enough to beat those lineups.
Right, so that's why I'm nervous. I want to see Sevi be the featured guy.
Sevi Ballesteros.
Sevi Mahalawu.
Svi.
I want to see him be the featured guy.
I can see his minutes going up. Absolutely.
What is George in his third year or fourth year?
Keyonte George is in his third year.
Right. So
he's making the third year jump.
I want to see the same jump that George has clearly made in Ace Bailey in year 3.
Totally get that. Yeah.
Right. And then
he's been good this year.
At that point, they're really on to something.
Well, they need Ace Bailey to make a jump because although they've done a lot of good things here putting a team together, the championship window requires one of the top 5 or top 10 players in the league, maybe 2 of the top 10 if you don't have one of the top 3 or 4 or whatever. And I don't see anybody. I mean, I like a lot of these guys. Markkanen and Jackson have been all-stars, but I don't think anybody describes them as some of the top 10 players in the league. But I do think putting them together, there's extra bonus because of their size. But Ace Bailey, if you say who on this roster right now is most likely to end up all-NBA first or second team, top 10 in the league, it's Ace Bailey.
I could see Jaren Jackson. I wonder if you have.
You could you can argue anything. So you can make a case for Jackson, Markkanen, and probably Keyonte George for that matter. But the easiest
loosely on the last 2.
I get it, but the easiest argument to make is for Ace Bailey.
How about if they have 4 of the top 20?
Yeah, if it's guy like 12, 17, 19, 20, first off, I think the margins are so slim at that point. Whereas like from guys 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a big spread between those guys and guys 7, 8, 9.
Right, but we're not debating where they fall on the list.
No,
we're
but if
saying
they're in that,
the Jazz
if they're in
starting
that group,
lineup.
If you had 4 of that group, that'd be interesting because I'm trying to think of a team or a roster where that's been the case.
Well, everybody goes back to that Detroit one when the Lakers were a mess.
And maybe that's what it takes. Like if the 1 or 2 teams that have top 5 players that really have a true roster around them.
And then when Jordan was out, they had.
But Olajuwon was a top 5 player.
I was going to say he was top 1 or 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then they had nobody else who.
No. At that point, it felt Drexler came in,
but
but
first year.
But it felt like everybody else on that roster was between player 40 and 100.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe they got lucky because Jordan was out. Yeah. But so what? Doesn't matter. But I just wonder, especially if the top 2 or 3 players aren't that massively separated. Meaning,
we could argue that now.
Jordan was the top player in the league during his time,
but it was a long way to number 2 most of those years.
And so maybe if it's more jumbled,
like Jokic and
top,
SGA, and yeah.
And you haven't had a player ascend to that level, but you still have your top 4 guys combined 1 through 4 could compete with anybody else's top 4. How good can you be then?
Well, I do think that opens the Jay-Z had that quote about opening the championship window and keeping it open. Well, certainly you're in the mix with that. You know, whether you would pull it off or not, I guess we just have to get there, see how those teams are built and all that kind of stuff. But you would certainly be in that mix where you're one of the top 2, 3 teams in the league if you had 4 of the top 20 players.
So that's where I'm going with this group. I don't know that I'll get there, but that's what I'm looking at. And can they overcome it? And then you have a really solid bench. Because they sort of had that in the Gobert-Mitchell years.
Yeah, they had a good bench. Yeah, they had the 6th man of the year, and they had the runner-up in balloting. Right,
but I meant...
But down further.
The bench, they had the really good... I understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about...
Oh, at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they had 4 of the top 20, but I get your point as far as Gobert and Mitchell were way up there. And then now I'm trying to think of the whole starting lineup for that era. And then Bogey, where would Bogey have been? I mean, he was kind of one-dimensional. Like, he shot it and he scored. They had to really get on to rebound. There was a game in Houston, I remember once, like 35 points and 1 rebound or something like that.
He joked about it.
Yeah.
That wasn't his game.
No.
But, I mean, they didn't have the elite defensively in Gobert. They did, but they didn't have that. But yet they were still pretty good. And obviously they flunked out in the postseason. But then that you have to hope that you're a little bit better at that point. And I think that the potential of this group is better than that group.
Yeah. I can see why you say that. I can absolutely see why you say that. They were
a game away from making a conference final.
They were super dependent. Well, they were 2 away, weren't they? They lost in 6 to the Clippers. They would have had to win 6 and 7 to get there.
Right.
But I think that, you know, I can see where the skills build off each other. You know, it's not like Markkanen's a shot blocker or a big defensive stopper or something, but when you're the 2nd or 3rd 7-footer, I mean, it just gets hard to pass the ball because, like, if all the 7-footers stick their arms out, like, passing lanes are just shrinking literally left and right. They could become a really good – they've been a terrible defensive team, literally bottom of the league, number 30. But that could change pretty quickly and pretty dramatically if they re-up Kessler this summer.
I think they will.
Yeah, and those 3 are on the court. You could always have 2 of the 3 on the court, and sometimes you're going to have all 3 on the court.
There's no reason why Bailey can't be a good perimeter defender.
Yes, yeah. And again, you'd have a guy who'd have size and length. I don't think that there'd ever be a Jazz team. They have more talent and more cohesiveness and more continuity. But as far as like just sheer size, length, and athletic ability, this would be the tallest, longest, most athletic team. Now you throw in skill, right? Stockton and Mitchell are smaller guys, but they're highly skilled. But they were trying to beat double teams with guys coming at them who are 4, 5, 6 inches taller than them. And all of a sudden, the Jazz can run a big lineup out on the floor.
I can get super excited about the Jazz next 2 to 3 years pretty easily.
You know, the funny thing is just when you said pretty excited, I thought 1 year for sure, probably 2. By then we may see some limitations. And I wonder if there'll be more pressure, you know. Once the expectations come, the pressure gets heightened. And there's always, there'll be more expectations next year, so there'll be more pressure. But I still don't think there'll truly be a lot of pressure because I think that team's going to have such a good roster, and they're going to come from so far down in the standings to so far up. There won't be any pressure in the postseason. There'll be low expectations. Man, you get to year 3, though, it'll be like, hey, you got to win a playoff series or 2. This is different now. A lot like, actually, BYU. You know, the first year with Kevin Young, hey, you got to win a tournament game or 2. You got to get Sweet 16. Now, immediately the next year it goes to, you got DeBonce, you've been Sweet 16, you got to Elite 8 or Final 4. The injuries have obviously undercut that. But I think postseason expectations for the Jazz will climb pretty quickly the same way they did for BYU.
Yeah. And you never know what's going to happen in the league. It's impossible to predict, but maybe OKC gets bugged by the can't pay everybody like they did before. So I'm excited, and especially if you add a really good player this coming summer to the mix, and then that player can come along at his own pace. Yeah. So in 2 to 3 years when he's ready, man, who knows, man?
DJ and PK, we are brought to you by University of Utah Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. We're going to take a break. When we come back, everything you missed in this show, we got to focus on the college basketball. 3 teams with 3 interesting games coming up tomorrow night, and we will get to the Utes, the Cougars, and the Aggies next. Stay with us.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in. It is time to get you caught up to date on everything we're talking about. I think we need to talk about a lot of college basketball. We've already talked about a lot of college basketball in the show, but just get you up to speed on the big games this weekend. The Slacker Radio Hotlines are brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at trajanwealth.com. All right, we got 3 interesting games here, PK, and I'm curious, Utes, Cougars, Aggies, and they're going to overlap here. How are you going to prioritize them? I know based on competition, when a game becomes a blowout, then you'll drop it down to number 3 and watch the 2 more competitive games. I didn't think I was going to spend as much time watching Utah and West Virginia as I did, but I thought that ended up being a wildly competitive game. Plus the reviews. My gosh, games come to a grinding stop sometimes. But I was getting sucked into the Ute game. It started half an hour earlier, and then the Cougars started, so I went over, and I want to go back and watch the Utes. It's like, oh, they got a review. It's easy to go watch the Cougars now. And there's a commercial break. I go over, they got another review. It's easy to go back to the Cougars now. That thing just dragged on. Sidebar, Your Honor.
Just have one referee.
So
they save money.
Gosh.
And then go to reviews every play.
Utah, they win a game. Can they get back-to-back conference wins? They're hosting UCF. BYU, can they take down a ranked team, Iowa State? Utah State, they've been crushing everybody at home. This has been a great run. Now they got to go on the road to a Nevada team that is not great, but is good, and they've been really good at home, 12-2. So can they go to the old Lawler Event Center and keep rolling in Reno? Most intriguing game for you.
Oh, it's BYU all the way.
There it is. Number 6, Iowa State coming in. Can the Cougars do it short-handed?
I'm planning to go to that game.
Oh, there it is. So you won't be doing the channel surfing thing. You'll be there and locked down on it.
Well, nothing against you. It's been not playing for anything.
They are not.
And
a little momentum, a little confidence, maybe something that helps the guys think we made progress, and for the younger guys to come back for Alex.
Aggies have reached the point where their season will be determined by an NCAA tournament.
It's clear they're going to be in. What are they going to be seeded? Yeah. That's what they're playing for now.
Right. So that if they win 2 games, who cares?
BYU is also playing for seeding, but they're playing for identity in the here and now with the newly reconfigured lineup after the injury to Saunders.
Yeah, I think they're playing for, hey, to show the world we got this. That's what they're playing for. We got this. Do you have this?
Beat Iowa State, and then it opens a conversation about winning out in the regular season, because Iowa State is clearly, especially with the injury to Toppin at Texas Tech, Iowa State is clearly, on paper, the most difficult game left. And sure, Cincinnati and West Virginia on the road, but Iowa State's 23-3 and number 6 in the country, and they're all sorts of fantastic.
The Cougars hung in there against Arizona. That's a tough first game without Richie Saunders. You know, you would have liked to, at least with Dawson Baker, they've had a good while to not overcome it, but deal with it more appropriately with his loss. So Richie was a massive blow, and it was a massive emotional blow, and then you got to go on the road to play Arizona.
Right.
It's pretty tough.
Yock brought up the point yesterday that Iowa State's 3-3 on the road, that for all of their success, 23-3, ranked 6th in the country, 10-3 in conference, all these great numbers, 3-3 on the road. In their most recent road game, they lost at TCU. So if they can lose at TCU, and they've also lost at Cincinnati, if they can lose at Cincinnati, why can't they lose at BYU? The third road loss is at Kansas, and let's face it, a lot of really good teams are going to go to Kansas and lose there. Their road wins in conference, Oklahoma State. Kansas State's terrible. Oklahoma State is decent. And they won at Baylor by 10. That's a nice win. So they're capable of winning nice games on the road. I would certainly think that the Baylor and Oklahoma State wins are nice wins, because not only do they win, but they beat Oklahoma State by 13.
Yeah.
And Baylor by 10. So good wins for the Cyclones on the road. So you don't really know what you're going to get. They could come in and take it to you, but you could come in and take it to them. It all hangs in the balance.
Yes. And the crowd will be energized. You'll be sitting in your hotel or their dorm room or wherever they hold you up during game days. I know a lot of teams go to a hotel the night before.
Yeah.
And then you can be watching Houston and Arizona and listening to the announcers just rave over those guys and get your blood boiling even a little bit more, and sit there and have an opportunity to show the committee, the world, yourselves, your fans, and everyone who follows BYU basketball, and there's a lot of folks, that you can show them what you're about, and you can do it, man. And this is a huge game. This is as big a game as they've played all season.
Can a role player step in and make a big difference?
You're going to have to give us something. I don't know that you need to do what the U of A kid did and give you 22, I think it was.
I was about to go to that.
They got to get something. And I don't want to hear about the injuries relative to the lack of role-playing production, because that's two different things.
It is. So Guy Nate becomes a guy who was a guy 8, is guy 7, guy was 7, is guy 6. Like some of these guys, it's not, you're not swapping out 5 guys here.
Right.
It's one guy. Now you've got to do a little more, and certainly in the case of someone like Davis, his role definitely expands, right? He's now the third scoring option, and he gave him 10 points on the road in Arizona, maybe even 15 at home. You know, why not?
Well, he didn't take that many FGAs to get that.
Exactly.
And he got fouled and made all of his free throws.
I didn't think the stat line was reflective of some of the good things he did.
A player like that normally isn't.
Right. But I was specifically looking, like when he gets the ball, if your feet are set and you're wide open, you take the shot whether Saunders is healthy or not. But when Saunders wasn't there, he'd move it. You're less likely to drive. But I thought at Arizona, like he did drive and it worked. He had one specific one. They were going left to right, and he drove to the baseline and he threw a great diagonal pass. And it was, the whole swing, right? It was the pass that led to the pass, and they got right a wide open three, and he made it.
Then threw it to
yes, and
right.
It's like it's a hockey assist. He doesn't get credit for it, but like, dude, you created that play. Because you chose to put it on the floor. Right. You chose to get into the paint and collapse the defense, and you chose to make the right decision and find DeBonsa with a diagonal pass.
That was a great play because he got into the teeth rather than try to force something.
Yes.
Sees DeBonsa. As the ball's coming to DeBonsa, he knows already I'm throwing it to right.
He could see the defense running at him, and they weren't going to get to right.
Human beings cannot run faster than passes.
Right.
And so he quickly passes. As soon as he gets it, it's hot potato, and then right is wide open, and they make the play. So I think we'll see more of that. That's why I have a level of optimism for this group, because it's a new set of parameters and circumstances, and they're going to need some time to adjust. Now, with all that in mind, they still need something out of 2 or 3 bench guys. They're getting nothing. And what's bugging me is I'm watching these other guys that could have come to BYU, do it for TCU, do it for Clemson, do it for Virginia.
Virginia's got a really good team. Like, they're ranked. It'll be interesting to see where they're seeded. Are they a 3, 4, 5 seed? How does it play out? But who plays the most minutes for the Cavs? He doesn't have gaudy stats. He doesn't score a bunch of points, bunch of rebounds, assists, but he's steady across the board, and the coaches must love what he brings to the team, because Dallin Hall's playing 28 minutes a game, and everybody else is playing less than that. Like, he is making the right basketball play, whether it shows up in a box score or not, because there is a 0% chance he'd be getting 28 minutes for any other reason. And he could have done that here.
Yeah, that's why I said he was the biggest loss for me off of last year's team, knowing that they had a top 8 pick. Because I could argue that they replaced what Yegor gave them, but they haven't replaced what Hall has given them, and that's mental toughness. I watched them play. Who'd they play? Ohio State, was it? It was a non-conference game here just last week or so.
Oh, yeah. No, they played it was a made-for-TV Saturday night game in Nashville that Fox put on in prime time. I watched it, yeah.
And just his toughness.
That's why I know his stats, because he was playing well in that game. And I'm like, I know he's doing well and the team's doing well. What's he doing? I looked it up during a commercial break.
Yeah.
And I saw the minutes.
He's playing well, and they miss some mental toughness on this team that he could provide.
And as a veteran, they could feed off his confidence. I mean, there's so many positives there to be had.
I think he would have been playing 25 minutes had he stayed. But I don't know what the money situation is, and maybe, Odom, I assume, knew him when he was out here coaching at Utah State.
You got to think.
And there was a connection there, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And away you go. But they've got to, and they got who they got this year, but they've got to make sure going forward, you can have top-end talent, and that's great, but you need 6, 7, and 8. You need those
depth,
types of guys.
Right.
Yeah.
You need depth, you need production, you need role guys, you need glue guys.
And there's guys out there, LDS guys, that could have helped him, and maybe they didn't want to come. And I was told one guy in particular wanted to, but BYU wasn't interested that much, so he said to heck with it. And I think it's coming back to bite him.
That's the number one thing is get a list of like the top 20 local players and show them some love and stay in touch.
Well, and LDS players.
And tell that, yes. And tell
Which
them.
not always local.
Right. They're not always. No, you could find a kid who is an LDS who's from Utah, wants to come home, and you could find an LDS kid from out of state, maybe an Arizona or California kid, but most
who's familiar with BYU.
Who's familiar with BYU. And
like
maybe
Lee Camard.
And his parents may have played here or gone here, or grandparents or whatever.
Camard's from Tempe.
But mostly,
they got him to come.
If you said 25 guys, I bet at least 15 and maybe 20 of them would be both. They'd be both LDS and in-state.
If they're good enough.
Well, that's the thing, is even if they aren't good enough out of school, you got to follow them, stay in touch with their high school and AAU coaches. Hey, we keep our eye on them. We know what's going on. There might be a chance. We'll see.
Or ship them off to
UVU.
Or
if depending on who the coaches are, because coaches are changing every year now, just always have 5 coaches who develop guys. Could be Weber, Utah Tech, Southern Utah.
If they're comfortable. We know
UVU
Todd Phillips at UVU is comfortable with that.
Yes. And we know he's good at developing players.
Dave Rose, Vegas, UNLV would ship off players. He told me the story when Keenan Clark came in, showed up at the office when it was Dixie at junior college, and Dave said he was looking down, reading something on his computer. He said he hears a voice, coach, and he said so his eyes are low, and it goes to his feet, goes to his calves, goes to his knees. He said, and 5 minutes later, I finally get to his face because Keenan Clark was super tall.
Long, yeah. 6'11" string bean.
Right. Do that, man. Got to do something. You have to do something to get better bench production.
I think keeping track of those 20, 25 guys who have ties for one reason or another, or sometimes more than one reason, and bringing them back. I mean, they do it to a degree. Who's the kid from Corner Canyon? They recruited him. Kozlowski hasn't played. There have been injuries and all that. They have brought in local guys and tried to develop. It hasn't paid off yet.
Yeah.
But you've only got 3-4 spots on the roster maybe for that kind of player. So you got to keep track of the other 10, 15, 20 guys who might be good enough in a year or two, depending on how they develop.
But you need those guys to be good the second you get them on campus, because if you keep going after the one-and-done guys, there is no future. Kozlowski has no future with DeBonsa.
No. He may have a future, but it'll be with whoever the next star is.
So if you want to, when you want to cash in, and there's this kid out there, Branch, that they're talking about, if he ends up coming and he's supposed to be great, blah, 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 you have to make sure that your bench guys are immediate. Right. It's not going to be in a year or two, because if you keep going after these top-end talent, they're going to leave immediately. Everyone, if they don't even make the tournament, everybody expects DeBonsa to do what Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper did. They were out. They didn't make the tournament at Rutgers. Yeah. So what? They're gone.
So, there's a lot made about NBA coaches coming to college, and I think the transitions are tough for multiple reasons. But one thing, the budgeting is, however much money you've got, whatever it is, even if you got the "we won't be outbid" quote, do you spend two guys? Do two guys get, a quarter or a third of the money? So ultimately, a half to 2/3 of the money, 50 to 67%, because they're these high-end one-and-done prospects, right? And then there are a couple guys who maybe are going to be in college 2 or 3 years. They're pretty good players. And then can you fill out with the rest of the money, fill out the rest of the roster? I don't know what the equation is, but there's some equation like that. And clearly this team's top-heavy. And this is just something, NBA guys coming to college, and they probably didn't have much say in the front office. They're bringing coaching experience, but now they got to run the front office part of this. And if you don't get that right, this is why they're all hiring GMs, to get this right. And so I assume they better be drilling down deep into this and figuring out what that equation is going forward.
Most especially now, tomorrow night, they got to find a way to go out and get a win. That changes everything. Changes the whole look of the team.
For the positive.
Yeah, they need it.
Yeah. Now, if they lose, if they don't find someone to be their Anthony Del Orso and give them a big boost outside of the star players, then we're going to be saying in the next game, well, now you can change the story for the negative. You better win. That's just a given. And a loss would send a message that is devastating. So, there's not everything, but there's so much hanging in the balance the next game or two.
Right. I agree.
Yep. All right, Utah State, they're going to win in Reno. They're going to take care of business.
I don't see any reason why they don't. I just don't. I don't see any reason why they don't.
Yeah. And that sets up San Diego State for a game that would be, if you win that, you're going to be the regular season champ. You're going to be the 1 seed in the tournament, even though there's still, I think, 3 games to go at that point. You'll have a 2-game lead in the league. You will be.
If you ask me which would I rather have for Utah State?
San Diego State.
No. I'm talking about regular season title or conference tournament title. I'd rather have regular season.
Means more?
Because you don't need that other one. That's a 3-day tournament.
Yep.
That's not a season.
That's what you need when you're on the bubble or on the outside looking in.
Right.
Because I need the automatic berth.
Right.
I don't want to be sweating or disappointed on Sunday.
Right. They won't need that.
No,
if they win the regular season, they are in. Absolutely. And if they can go ahead and win the tournament, I'm not saying discount it, but I'm saying if I had to choose between the two.
Yeah, I get it.
Majerus has drilled that in my mind for a decade.
Hey, he was 100% on board with the regular season. And that was in an era when it was a true home and home run robin. It's a little different now. You're missing a few teams in the Mountain West. You're barely playing anybody twice in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Although you are playing everybody once, so there's still more truth to that than there is to a 3 or 4 game tournament. Yeah. Yeah. And then you got the Utes. You were complaining a couple days ago, about the possibility of, you were barring trouble from the future. Well, what if all these guys leave? I think that's what's at stake for Utah right now. Show some progress and some positivity so that, man, if a guy gets an extra $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, he's going to go somewhere else. And if he gets $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 more, Utah is going to stay. But assuming that these coaches get better at pricing guys' value, when the deal's about the same, you want these players to think, hey, we got better over the course of the season. This guy coached me up. I got better. We got better. Why would I go chase another $25,000 or whatever over here? So beat UCF at home.
It depends on where that $25,000 is. If it's a place where
they get more playing time,
no,
closer to home.
Playing time, yes,
closer to home,
yes. But I was going to say has 10,000 people in the stands.
Yeah, that's more fun, right?
Yeah.
That's more fun than playing in front of 4.
They're not drawn. They only draw BYU. That's it.
Yep.
And so you can see reasons. And it can thwart your rebuilding process. It also can advance it because you can go get guys who are better, too.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, Alex is making all these decisions. We've talked about the Jazz using the last 26 games to evaluate players. Alex is using this last handful of games to keep evaluating.
He's been using the whole season.
He has been, but who's getting better?
But I think it's good for them if they can say, hey, we won 3 out of our last 5.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be.
And actually, their schedule gets even easier in this. They've got several teams near the bottom of the league that they still get to play. They have Kansas State, who's obviously in turmoil. They still have Colorado. They have ASU, who has the impending coaching change, it looks like. So there's chances for them to pick up games. If they get this one.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
why
I said.
Yeah.
I know that. I saw the schedule. And go ahead and say you won 3 out of your last 5, 4 out of your last 6.
Whatever it turns out to be.
Have some development that is positive from a winning standpoint.
All right, DJ and PK, there you are. You're all caught up. Stuff we've been talking about in the show. All the college basketball tomorrow. The Utes are at 7 o'clock. That's streaming only, ESPN 1. The Aggies are at 8 on FS1 and BYU at 8:30 on ESPN. And we are back with your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time for your feedback. Matt Ishbia made some news. Suns owner says tanking is a losing behavior done by losers. What would you say to him? Brian, Ishbia traded all his pick control. He can't tank until kids in the 6th grade today are NBA draft eligible. Of course he hates tanking. He tanked his franchise with the KD and Beal trades.
Well, he tanked it for the short term. I think they've recovered a little bit. We'll see where they fit in. Are they right now? They're in the middle. Can they get better? Remains to be seen. But yeah, he does. That was an awful, in retrospect, and that's how we evaluate trades is in retrospect, right? You do it in the moment, but then the proof comes in at the end, and that was a bomb. And they traded away too many picks, right? So. And he's young in terms of his leadership of the organization, and it didn't go well. Now he's got to sell it to fans. We would never do that. I would never do that to you. So he's kind of getting political there. But when you think about it, and we've been talking about it all freaking morning, and for 2 weeks, the Jazz are trying to win. This is the method to go about trying to win.
Jeffrey says 2 words for the Suns. DeAndre Ayton. Granted, that was prior ownership, but it's the franchise history.
DeAndre Ayton, yikes.
That stings.
And, I thought at the time that was a good pick. I got to be totally honest.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know about this Doncic guy. Boy, I was wrong, but I don't suffer any consequence for being wrong.
Right.
I don't care.
You also don't spend millions of dollars flying around the world nonstop evaluating these guys literally for years.
Right.
I mean, the investment in time and energy, I think it's very underappreciated how many jet-lagged days they have staggering into gyms to watch somebody.
But if I'm the Suns with that leadership at that time and that ownership, I say, oh, yeah, ours sucked. But look what the Kings did. They took Marvin Bagley. That's even worse.
There's a long line of big mistakes at the top of drafts. How'd Markelle Fultz?
And look what Dallas did. They traded Doncic.
Great draft. Terrible trade. Should have at least gotten like 4 draft picks back, even if they botched all the draft picks. How did they only get 1?
For Luka, you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should have gotten a bigger haul.
That's awful.
Harley's with him, though. He says, Ishbia is 100% right. I've been saying it for 4 years. I'll never cheer for a loser no matter the circumstances. I understand why they tank, but they're still losers, along with every fan actively cheering for the losing. 1 year, okay. 4 years, pathetic. I got to say, if we're just coming clean on stuff I thought this was a 1 or 2 year deal because they'd seen Danny Ainge do a 1 year rebuild in Boston and a 2 year deal. And what I wildly underestimated was how locked up the trade market. I always thought he'd make a trade that jumped the thing forward and sped it up. And they just did with Jackson, but it took 3.5 years to make that trade.
They didn't have any players that were going to allow it to jumpstart. You got to have players, too. You're just not going to make trades for draft picks, and then all of a sudden we're good to go.
Wasn't the Jackson trade mostly? I mean, Memphis is starting over.
But they have players now.
They do have players.
That's what I'm saying.
I got to play, but I just don't think the players were really what drove that pick. I mean, they wanted them, and they had to put some in for salary purposes, and they got some young players who may turn out to be nice players.
Oh, that's Memphis's deal. I'm saying the Jazz had to have some players that they could build upon. They didn't have Kessler. He has to develop a little bit, and then he doesn't play this year.
I still thought there'd be a big trade to move it along. Obviously, I'm wrong. You don't tell me
But
I'm wrong.
you're not wrong. It is now.
Well, it is now. I just didn't think it'd take 4 years. I thought it'd be more like
Austin saying,
1
get
or
off
2
my
years.
back. It only took one.
And Austin did do it quickly. And then Danny would be like, well, yeah, but look at all the players and picks I built up for you. It's never one thing. It's always a lot of things. All right, we're out of time. Jake and Ben are up next right here on The Zone.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.